Hello and welcome back to the SportsRunDown Betalong. Gary, how are you getting on tonight?
Yeah, good, Abby. How are you?
Yeah, good as well. Slats will be a few minutes. He'll be with us shortly, so you see the empty square there. That's where he usually sits. He'll be along very soon. Before we dive into it, we've got our Friday night bet along. Our live action ACCA is on, and just so there's no risk of after time, and one of the games kicked off a couple of moments ago in the Serie B, Alessandria Crotona, and I have Mulatieri, the Inter player on loan with Crotona, to score any time at 13-8. We'll get into the details very shortly. We just wanted to get that out there nice and early. So, yeah, a pretty action-packed night of football tonight, Gary. Which one are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, hopefully action-packed anyway. Sometimes, you look at it and the poor games or games you think are going to be poor actually turn into decent contests, and then the ones you think are going to be explosive are bore fest. But I'm looking forward to Aston Villa tonight. I'm going to be watching that live here. My bet comes in that game as well, so that's what I'm most looking forward to. I think there could be fireworks. There's a good few storylines there. Bit of pressure on Arteta. Villa obviously threw away a 2-goal lead against Wolves during the week, at the weekend. So they're under a little bit of pressure to try and get momentum again. And then obviously Martinez coming back to Arsenal as well as another storyline. So I think there's a few good storylines, a few bits of betting value. So I've done the same game multi that we can walk through in a couple of minutes as well for that game. But yeah, it's the one I'm most looking forward to. How about you?
And as a fan, that's the game I'm most looking forward to as well, for all the reasons you outlined. I think Premier League games on Fridays are usually very entertaining as well, so expecting a lot of action there. Myself,
you just can't beat a game under lights, it's ridiculous.
No, not at all. I mean,
I don't know how, whether it's a mental thing or whether it's a fact, but I've always thought that a game under lights is something. I don't know whether it's a romanticism or what the story is, but there's definitely something. Sorry, there's a penalty here in Crotona game.
Nice.
I'm not exactly too sure who it's for because I've just flicked it on, and I obviously haven't got the sound on. But does Mulantari, is that how you pronounce it? Does he take penalties?
He does. Yeah, he's their main man up front, so he should be taking this one. Now's probably the right time to start going through.
That's it's for them. I'm not even too sure who it is. My screen's a bit blurry here. I could just see the ref pointing to the spot. So I said I think it's going to a VAR review. It's fairly soft, but it'll get given.
It is soft, but I think it is for Crotone.
Yeah, and I'd say in Italy it'll get given even though it's gone to VAR. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones. It was very soft, but he did, his hand was where it shouldn't have been. Do you know what I mean? You got your hand on someone's back and he goes down. Hold on a second. Now this is let's see here. No, it is actually for Alessandria, this penalty. Sorry, the colours on my screen are all over the place. So this is an Alessandria penalty, not what we want. But I suppose an early goal could light the game up a bit.
Yeah, it's one of those. If you're on over 2.5 goals or whatever, or both teams score, you're absolutely laughing,
Yeah, the Crotona keeper now was messing about. The ref is having none of it. He's gone over. So the logic in this one, by the way, though, is pretty straightforward. I mean, Alessandria conceded an awful lot of goals. They've 8 league games in the league so far. They've conceded 18 already. So 2.5 or 2 and a bit of game. They're really terrible at the back. And Mulatieri has scored 6 in 8 league starts this season. So, I mean, he's in great form. I don't know why he's not priced lower, to be honest. And we've talked about him before. He's often overlooked. You won't believe this, but the SRD special again, he has missed the penalty. Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
I'd
say we'd be in an absolutely serious profit if we bet on every penalty to be missed that we were watching. It's definitely, I'd say we've probably seen about 20 penalties and 13, maybe 12, 13 have been missed. It's an unreal record that we see on this show.
I think we had 7 in a row at one stage. I mean, if you started rolling up 7 at 3-1 kind of prices, you got 7 of those in a row, you'd be retired.
Yeah, exactly.
When you see the keeper kind of shithousing is the phrase people like to use now, just messing around. The longer I think the time between when the penalty is awarded and when the penalty is given, I think the likelihood of it being scored goes down considerably.
Yeah, because that was I think it was 3 minutes they were waiting from when I saw the clock and the ref pointing to when he actually took it. So it's a long time to be standing there, and especially with, as you said, the keeper kind of in his face, but even all of the there seemed to be every player on the pitch around the ref having some sort of argument. So that has to have an impact as well. Like,
oh, big time. The keeper just wouldn't get back on his line. So the ref was blowing the whistle, telling him to get back on the line, and he wouldn't. And then the ref walked. I mean, the ref should have probably booked him, but the ref walked over and then he kind of apologized and went back. And as soon as the fella stepped up for the penalty, he just took a step off the line again. So clearly got into his head. Probably happy with that now, to be honest. I would have taken the goal. Maybe, you said they could light the game up, but for the Crotona goal, the Crotona forward, we're happy for it to be still 0-0. Yeah, the logic for him is pretty straightforward. Like I said, he's 6 goals in 8 starts. He scored in every away league game so far for Crotona. Now, it's only been 3 of them, but he scored in all 3 of them. And Alessandria are awful at the back, so it's pretty straightforward one for me there. That game is now 7 minutes in, and it'll probably, be at least 2 or 3 added on for that penalty. So plenty of time to go here in the first half. So back to the Arsenal game, Gary. Your main pick tonight was Alex Lacazette to hit the target. So that's your part of the ACA. So do you want to talk us through that bit?
Yeah, that's the bet I've gone with. I suppose the reasoning behind it. I watched the game on Monday night against Crystal Palace, and when Lacazette came on, he kind of changed the game. He only came on with, I think it was 67 minutes he came on. So hadn't got that much time to make an impact on the game, but he lifted the crowd, kind of moving everywhere, involved in everything that Arsenal did. In that kind of, let's say, 25 minutes, maybe close to half an hour with extra time, etc., he managed to have 3 shots. 2 of those were on target. So it kind of stuck out to me as a bet for tonight, watching the game on Monday. I think you'll know, as an Arsenal fan, I think you said it in our group earlier on, Arteta probably would have been lynched if he hadn't started him tonight, given his kind of status at Arsenal as a fan favourite. So I knew he was going to start, and I like there's a couple of
good bet. Just back him to be in the starting 11. You probably would have got decent money on it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And especially with William Hill offering 7-4 on it, 7-4 and 2 shots on target, it just seemed very big. I said I like players who are streaky players, and we'll probably get onto it a bit later on. I know we're going to talk around a bit of the European action in Ligue 1 and Serie A, etc. But there's a few players out there who I always think of as being streaky players, and Lacazette is one of them. I think that he'll have a period of games where he'll be fairly quiet and kind of nothing will go right for him, and then he'll hit a run of form where every shot hits the target, he scores 1 in 5 games in a row or whatever. So I'm hoping the fact he got that winner on Monday night, that kind of gives him the confidence, and said I think he'll score tonight, but hopefully he bags the 2 shots on target.
I think the 2 shots on target will be in before half time, to be honest. Like I said it in the group, and I actually looked it up since I said it. Arsenal have a very, very good record off the back of a late comeback. Now, I know they were beating Palace, and then they were behind, and then 95th minute equaliser, whatever it was. I think they'll flying out of the stalls tonight. I think they'll probably win well, if I'm being honest about it. And I think he could have his 2 shots very, very, very early. The reason you were saying about him being streaky, I was thinking about this a lot. And I think he's one of those very selfless players. Like, he can play as a hold-up player. He can play... he's very valuable to the team even when he doesn't score. Right? So if you look at other forwards who are pretty much just a goal threat and nothing else, when they stop scoring, they get taken out of the team. Lacazette will continue to play in the team, a good few games beyond the point that he's kind of stopped scoring. So I think that could be a part of why he has those runs where he doesn't score. But I think they're a much better team with him in it, and looking forward to seeing it now tonight. Yeah,
exactly. And just because I forgot to say at the start, but anybody who's new to the show, so essentially we've placed the bet. So you've heard Liam's in the Crotona game. What's his name? How do you pronounce it? Mulantari, is it?
Mulatieri. Well, we can. If anyone in the comments wants to correct that pronunciation, by all means. Sammy, we'll call him Samuel Mulatieri. He's the Inter player. He's on loan at Crotona. I think he's actually on loan with an obligation to buy at the end of the season, but He is technically on loan from Inter. So I've got him to score anytime at 13-8. Gary, you said you've got Lacazette for 2 shots on target, like you were talking about.
And then we've got the over 2.5 goals in the Serie A game today as well. So that treble is 9-1. So Serie A game is Sampdoria and Spezia. So that's 9-1. So we have £10 on that. And if the bet wins, we're going to give that away to whoever we choose as being the best kind of interaction of the show. So it doesn't have to be the most interaction. It could be a funny comment. It could be a stat, whatever you want. Put it in the comments on either YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. And as I said, we'll choose the best one. And if the bet lands, we'll transfer you over the £100 for that. So it's a good way of enjoying the night, enjoying the show. So get commenting there, guys.
Yeah, and just while Gary's talking about it, the article or the bet that he's talking about, we have a website that we have, SportsRunDown.com. If you haven't pieced that bit together so far, we put up articles there for all sorts of different sports and leagues, and we have the live action ACA, which goes up every Wednesday or Thursday for the Friday night show, and that is one we have up there tonight. You can see it's advertised there at 9-1, so we're not just picking these picks kind of randomly on air. We've well researched them, and they've been up there for a bit of time. So Slats has got the Serie A Sampdoria Spezia game. His logic there is pretty solid. It's a low, kind of a relegation 6-pointer really in the Serie A, but the Spezia score a lot of goals. I think 8 in their last 10 away games, and Sampdoria are probably going to win. I mean, the high scoring fixtures every time these two teams play. Pretty good price there. So he's gone for over 2.5 and both teams to score. Sorry, I think we left that bit out when we originally said it. And then we've got the Malatieri and Lacazette ones as well. So that's the one there. We'll run through the rest of them. We've got a La Liga, Serie A, EFL. I'm probably forgetting some. We've got plenty of different leagues up there. We'll run through them throughout the show. One that is probably worth calling out straight away is the Serie A. So we have a Serie A expert. Enzo is his name. He writes Serie A specials for us every week. And his article this week included the Genoa game, which actually is already finished. It was the early game tonight. He had over 2.5 goals at 10-11, and it came in. So he's won that. So he's already got one leg up and running. And that article has been up there again since about Wednesday. So we don't usually have a winner to announce this early in the weekend, but we do have it this week.
Yeah, it's nice to have it early.
Yeah. Did you back it? I backed it myself.
I know I didn't get on and out, to be honest. I've just had a few mental days, so didn't get around to it. But I was fuming when I saw it. I saw it just kind of half time in the game. So, fuming I didn't get on.
Oh, yeah. So just to run through a couple of my own personal bets so we don't have any after time in here. I backed the 2.5 goals in that and in the 3 games we have tonight. So Arsenal, Sampdoria and Crotona. So I did a 4-fold of over 2.5 and that they were all more or less evens. The Serie A game was the lowest. It was like 8-13, I think. And the rest were about evens. So that's my main interest there. I've backed Arsenal to win. What price would you put Waterford away to Bows tonight, Gary?
That's actually a price I meant to look up in the cup. Like, I probably would have had them at about 2-1 maybe. But I have the feeling they were probably a lot bigger with the bookies.
11-2.
Jesus.
So I backed Waterford to win at 11-2. I backed them to win and both teams to score as well at 10-1, which is a crazy price, I think. A lot of the Waterford Bows games have quite a history since Waterford came back to the Premier Division. Nearly every game has been won by the away team in the league. So Waterford have won most of their games in Dublin against Bows, but lost most of their games at home against them. So I don't know if that's just a complete coincidence, but I just thought 11-2 is a huge price for that. So what else have I backed then tonight? I've done Lacazette to score 2 or more, and I've done Muladieri to score 2 or more as well. That double is very highly priced. Both of them are outside 6-1. And that is the current status of my bets. We'll be doing a few live ones as well throughout the show, as anyone who's familiar with what we do will know.
Yeah, and then for me, I obviously have our treble on. And I've done a bet builder in the Arsenal game as well. So I'm kind of all in on the Arsenal game tonight, and I'm all in on Lacazette. So anybody who's read the article on Sports Rundown will see that I actually called out 2 bets tonight. One was Lacazette, 2 shots on target, and the other was Danny Ings, 2 shots on target. So Ings was 10-3 to have 2 shots, and I think that's a little bit too big. So put them in there. Matty Cash, who's the Villa right back, he loves a tackle. So I've done him to be carded. I've done Gabriel, the Arsenal centre half, to be carded, and over 10.5 corners. So this is a very, very juicy 248 to 1 bet builder. I think the shots on target are fairly certain to come in. I'd be fairly confident of the corners as well. The cards are obviously a bit of a lottery, but if it does turn into an end-to-end battle, having a defender for each team in there, I don't think is a bad shout. So fingers crossed, we can either get the shots or some of the cards in the first half, and that'll give us a bit of a cheer for the second half. But I said at 248 to 1, I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, like I feel again we talked about the Friday night kind of magic under lights. There's going to be a good few players get carded, and there's going to be kind of counter attacks that just get hacked down, and fellas were putting in a bit overly excited tackles. So you're just hoping that you've got the right guys. I think the fact that there will definitely be cards in that game. So yeah, sounds good. I like those same game multis can be great entertainment when you get them. Like you said, a couple of them in early, and you're only waiting on 1 or 2 things throughout the rest of it. It's great.
Yeah, like they are a great interest for. I said I've just got £5 on that today, but possible to win. What's it, 1,240. So be happy if I get anywhere near a shout off that. It's not my usual kind of style of betting, but for a Friday night like this, as I said, it's worth having a fiver on it. Then I'm going to look out for a little bit of in-play action, because we've been doing very well, particularly yourself and Slats have been pulling out a lot of winners recently. We had that 50 to 1 shot a couple of weeks ago, but we have a 14 to 1 shot last week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to look out for a little bit of in-play action, and yeah, try and get on that. Unfortunately, there's no English Football League on, which is kind of my specialty area.
Is that because of the Premier League is on, or is it just a coincidence?
Well, I think it's because of the midweek.
Okay,
schedule, yeah. Because Tuesday and Wednesday there was a big midweek schedule because they play so many games in the season, and it kind of aligns to the Champions League and stuff. So it's great on a Tuesday and Wednesday when you're watching it, but not so great on a Friday then, which is unfortunate. But we'll have action back next week, so that's the most important.
But it was strange. Like Arsenal played Monday night football last weekend, and then Friday night this weekend. It seemed
I
odd.
actually was tempted. The reason I didn't put it up on social media was I actually didn't want to offend you being an Arsenal fan, but I was tempted to put up. It's funny for Arsenal to be playing on Friday night after they've played in the Champions, and then just put that. But as I said, I thought that might offend too many people, so I didn't get on that route.
They're usually it's a good fan base to get a reaction from on social media.
Yeah, I was like, if I do this now, my phone is going to blow up. So, I left well enough alone anyway.
Yeah, I saw some, I don't know, soccer lad or one of those kind of crappy sites had a tweet up, and it was just showing all the English teams in Europe this week, and it all, won, beat Atletico Madrid, hammered Bruges, 6 winners in a row, and then Spurs had lost 1-0 to Vitesse. And obviously, a few Arsenal fans went in and started slagging them off in the comments, completely oblivious to the fact that they didn't even qualify themselves, and it was ridiculously, oh God, it was like the poor beating the poor, kind of down to the bottom end of that conversation chain.
Yeah, exactly. 20
minutes in here in this Serie B, by the way. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll be sorry. Go
on. Just because it's a very, very open game. Crotona are not exactly dominating this. They're probably slightly ahead, but Alessandria really kind of put it up to them here, very end-to-end. Like I said, a lot of players bombing down the wing. So, yeah, pretty happy to have a goal scorer in this game now, because it looks plenty of entertainment. It's not, as soon as you get the once a week, you get the Serie B dud that just goes nowhere from start to finish. So,
yeah,
I don't think we've got it this week anyway.
The bet wrecker. Yeah, hopefully we don't have it anyway. Although I'll be happy with a 1-0 if your man can get on the board. But I was just going to say before that, so again, I can see we've got a lot of new viewers there across the 3 platforms that we're streaming on. So streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Just to reiterate, we're giving away a prize at the end of the show tonight. So we have a £10 bet on our Betalong treble. It's a 9-1 treble. If you want to see what it contains, you can go on to SportsRunDown.com and check it out there. We will call it out throughout the show as well. But if that bet comes up, whoever has what we rate as being the best comment, so it can be a funny comment, stats, just asking us a question, whatever you think, put in the comments and we'll choose the best one. If our bet lands, then you win the £100, so we can send that across, bank transfer or Revolut or something like that. So I said, get commented. Yeah. But the main thing is to get commented and get interacting. Let us know what you're backing tonight, so we can cheer on those bets as well.
Yeah, you can see it on the screen there now. We've got the Lacazette celebrating his goal last week, so you can obviously tell he's a big part of the bet. So Gary's got Lacazette to have 2 or more shots on target. I've picked Mulattieri for Crotona in the Serie B to score, and then Slats, who will be with us very shortly, has gone over 2.5 goals in the Serie A Sampdoria Spezia game. So that's the 9-1 treble that we have. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. So yeah, that's the action tonight. While we're talking about those bets, by the way, so we hinted earlier at the Serie A bet that was already in. So Enzo tipped up Genoa's game to have over 2.5 goals tonight. It already came in. That game is finished, and it did happen. So that's a great start to that. His other bets there, he's gone for a very market that he seems to really love, Enzo. He's got over 3.5 goals in the Verona-Lazio game, which at first glance seems like a very high line, but it's nearly 2-1. It's 19-10. And I mean, I've watched quite a few Lazio games this season, and they're incredibly open. 75% of their games have had 2.5, and 2/3 of their games have gone over 3.5. 88% of Verona's games have gone over 3.5 as well. So, I mean, statistically, it's been happening a lot. The Serie A is a very, very open league this season. You're getting 19-10 for that there. So, yeah, that's a great bet. That is on the Sunday, the early kickoff, the 2 p.m. kickoff for the standard Serie A. It's also gone for Victor Osimhen to score in the Roma-Napoli game. Is a great, I think, is it an adage? Is that the phrase? I know a Sicilian proverb in that article was well worth reading. But he's got Osimhen to score there. And then he's got a great preview of the Inter-Juve game later on Sunday night, the main game in the Serie A. So it's well worth checking out. He's got 3 great bets live, and obviously one that's already come good for us. So yeah, a good read anyway, at the very least over there.
Yeah, I haven't checked that out myself yet, but I will be checking it out after the show. Especially if Enzo has a winner, he's kind of like Lacazette. He's kind of so it'd be worth getting on those for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, anyone who's familiar with the show will know we have. Crotona had a great shot there from a free kick. Keeper got really down low to save it. Very good save. Although not what we wanted, but the anyone who's familiar with Sport Rundown or from the stream here will know we've got a League One expert called Dermo, he's in incredible form picking French bets. And I feel like at the start of the season, we've talked about it a few times, he was so close. He was getting great calls, but the bets just weren't winning, and you could tell he was going to go on a run. I feel like Enzo's getting to that point now as well, where he's making really good calls. Very few of them are terrible, but the bets just aren't quite landing, and I feel like he's going to go on a run pretty soon, hopefully between now and Christmas, and we get a nice run into the end of the year, because he's definitely knocking on the door.
Yeah, for sure. And just for anybody who isn't familiar with Liam's French, that's Ligue 1 in France, not League 1 in England. So.
Did I say 1? Did I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you have a fondness for saying League 1.
Oh yeah, apologies. Crotona have come very close again to scoring here. Another free kick. This one whipped in to the back post. The keeper came out. I don't know what he was doing, missed it, and one of the Crotona wingers went to head the ball back across the goal, but it was off target and ended up going out for a goal kick. But a lot of pressure now from Crotona, building up very nicely. So yeah, very happy with this one.
Yeah, Arsenal game, there's just a light show on here now as the players are coming out, so should be getting underway fairly soon, and all 3 games will be live then, so looking forward to the big kickoff.
Yeah, it is goalless, by the way, after 10 minutes in the Serie A game, but definitely the Friday night Serie A games are full of late action, so completely happy with that one to start whatever way it needs to get going later on. actually a really entertaining game. This Alessandria one has gone straight down the other end now.
We've just actually had a comment in from Paul Kelly on YouTube who corrected you. I don't know whether it was before I corrected you or after I corrected you, but he's saying LB League One is in England. It's League So cheers for that.
Thanks, Paul.
Kelly. So Paul, at the minute you're winning the bet at the end of the show, so the £100 if the bet lands, because you're the only comment or the first comment of the night. So if anybody wants to challenge Paul for the £100, get your comments in across the three platforms.
Yep. Although after correcting my pronunciation, I can say that you won't be winning the prize.
Yeah, literally any other comment is going to win.
Yeah, anybody else will get that prize now after that. No, we're only joking, Paul. We love the input. Yeah, this is there'll be a goal in the first half of this Serie B game. I just can't believe how open this one is.
Yeah, I've actually been keeping an eye on it myself. That free kick was a decent free kick. Keeper made a good save, but it is end to end, so I can't see it. I know this is probably like what commentators curse or whatever, but I can't see it ending goalless anyway.
There's a good chance on here as corner kick. It has gone suspended though, so I'm curious if this corner is going to turn into something a bit more. It's a corner for Crotona anyway, so we're
down the right end of the field anyway. So this would be a perfect start tonight if we can get the anytime goal scorer in early.
Even before the Arsenal game even kicks off, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
No, doesn't score off it, but plenty of pressure from Crotona. Yeah, like I said, really open game here, so going well so far. The Serie A game is not the most exciting. I only have it on in the background, but not a huge amount happening there. So we'll wait it out. Like I said, though, quite happy for that to drift for a while. I'd much prefer to have the Serie B goal in than just be waiting on something in the Serie A.
Yeah, I think those Serie A games, they can just just takes one thing to light them up. So if there's a goal kind of anytime in the first hour, you're fairly confident of the over 2.5.
I just saw that. Did you see that?
I did, yeah. Just skimmed the crossbar from my head.
Yeah.
Centre half though, so
not our guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been a great goal for a centre half. He was in. I see he had 5 square meters of space around him. There was nobody. Actually, with the Sampdoria game, we were at a Sampdoria game ourselves. It feels like about 15 years ago at this stage, even though it was probably only the season before last. And they scored plenty of late goals themselves. So hopefully we get a repeat of that here. Yeah,
that was some game of football. We actually must, now that we've talked about it, we'll kind of get a throwback on our social. So if you look out on Facebook and Twitter, we'll put up the videos. There was who was it? Gaston Ramirez scored a worldie of a free kick.
Yeah,
we managed to catch on video. So nothing like being in the away end when was it 2-0 down? They come back and won 3-2.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was some game of football. So yeah, anybody who's interested, check out our socials after the show, and we'll get those videos up. Bring back a few memories of pre-COVID living when we were able to go hopping around the European grounds. Fingers crossed that'll come back soon.
Yeah, you said the away end, and we very nearly didn't realize we were in the away end for that game. Could have turned up in our Sampdoria, in our Torino gear.
Yeah. I was actually nearly going to buy a Torino scarf. It was a lucky miss by me.
Yeah. I don't know how that happened again. How do we even clock that we had the wrong tickets, but then walked in and everybody was just wearing blue? It was like, okay.
No, we walked up to the stadium entrance and we asked the steward where to go, and he just started laughing at us and pointed us around. So, oh God! So it's like 24 seconds gone in the Arsenal match, and it looks like there could be a booking. So, the ball kind of was rolling towards the 18-yard box, and Ramsdale came out to try and pick it up, but it was rolling really slowly. Gabriel came in to shield it and got in a bit of a tangle with Watkins, where Watkins ended up throwing him to the ground. So if it was like any other time bar the first 30 seconds, Watkins would definitely be getting a card, and maybe Gabriel as well. I don't know, the ref just seems to be giving a talking to. No, he's booked Watkins. He let Gabriel away with it, though. I would have liked Gabriel. Usually they give both players involved.
They absolutely don't. You were saying that if you didn't have Gabriel back, there's no way you'd be saying that's a yellow card. I've just seen it there.
In fairness, Gabriel didn't do much wrong, or anything wrong, to be fair. But usually the ref will just give it just to kind of set the foundations and be like, well, we don't want any more messing today, lads.
Early in the game, both players usually do get the punishment, either no punishment or a speaking to or whatever, So I just looked up at it. That was 3-1 that game. We Verdi scored for Torino, and then they were winning 1-0, and then 70, 75, and 79, Ramirez got 2, and then Quagliarella scored as well to put a gloss on it. They won 3-1. So
yeah, I knew I'd written the bet that we had off anyway, but it got to like an hour on and down. So good to get it back. But just on that Arsenal game again, even though it wasn't Gabriel or Cash, obviously, that got carded, it's good. Usually it's the first card that sets the precedent. So even I was at the game last night, and there was a couple of challenges that went in that the ref could have given a yellow card, and he didn't. So there ended up being no yellow cards. But if you had to give him one early, you could have ended up with like 5 or 6 yellow cards. So it's just, it kind of breaks the seal, the first one. So the fact it's in after a minute gives me a bit of confidence.
Yeah, as well, there's an element of like, the psychology there. I've booked him, so I should probably book the other fella kind of thing in the ref's mind. I let that guy off, so I let this guy off. Yeah, once it's... and
the players chip away as well. Like they're like, what about down that end or whatever. So it kind of puts the pressure on. So I said fingers crossed for that big bet. I
was watching the Arsenal there, but a few things to update here. So first one, Sampdoria have taken the lead against Spezia. Yeah, so 1-0 up after 16 minutes there. So that's great. In the Alessandria game, there was a really strange tackle here.
Sorry.
Anything?
So Arsenal should have scored. Saka broke down the right-hand side, crossed it to the back post, kind of a little dink cross to the back post to Aubameyang. Probably could have headed it, went for a kind of an overhead bicycle kick.
He never goes to head it.
Across the 6-yard box, and then Saka was coming in at the back post with really an open goal and skied it over, kind of on... Wasn't quite a half volley, but took a bounce in front of him, and he skied it over. But Arsenal definitely should have been ahead there after 3 minutes.
I really rate Saka, but I do think his finishing is going to be the big thing in his career. If he can start getting that right, and I'm sure he has the technical ability, but he does have it. There's a lot of chances to go begging, and I wonder, is that going to be sort of setting him apart from the very, very best as he matures in the in the Serie B game. We have a bit of a disaster here. I think we have a red card for Crotona. It was the weirdest tackle I've ever seen. Like the same as Crotona centre back who skimmed the bar, right? He slid in. It's red card. He slid in. It was a reckless challenge, but it was nowhere near anybody. He wasn't in control of himself at all. He just went in, stud showing, but again, nowhere near anything. And then an Alessandria player just kicked at the ball, but completely, the ball was already gone, and kind of tripped himself up over the sliding Crotone player. So it could have been anything. It could have been a red card to Alessandria for kicking him. It could have been anything, but he's booked the Alessandria player and sent off the Crotone centre back. So we now have an hour of this game left with 10 men. So kind of lost a little bit of the confidence now in that bet there. That's a real kick in the teeth for us, because it was a strange one, but I really don't think it was a good red card. It was like you said earlier, they were kind of both at fault or they weren't at fault. But
I missed it there. As I was watching it just with one eye, but there was a lot of action there in the first few minutes of the Arsenal game, so I didn't. I was kind of focusing on that. It's still not out of it,
it's better to have a player to score than maybe the team to win, for example.
Yeah, exactly. There's a chance even if they go 2 or 3 up, in their time, or they get a penalty or whatever. So I wouldn't be fully writing it off.
Yeah. Although now I feel like I've just seen that centre back on the pitch.
On Betfair, it's showing it as 2 yellow cards. so that there was a yellow card for 2 players, but I don't know whether it's 2 yellow cards for the same
No,
player.
maybe it's not been. Maybe he hasn't been sent off. I just saw his big head, and he's got quite a recognizable head there. No disrespect to the guy, but he definitely walked off the pitch. So, who knows? Maybe that was I don't know. Maybe it was a red card, and he rescinded it or something. I really don't know what happened there, but yeah, the guy's still on the pitch, so he hasn't been sent off anyway. So, well, we're back in the hot seat now. That's pretty good news there.
Yeah, back to being positive.
Yeah, positive vibes, as the cool people say. Yeah, what do you used to? How is that Arsenal match settling down now after that near chance for Arsenal?
Well, like, it hasn't settled down. It's just been fireworks from the first minute, to be honest. So as I said, like, there was a yellow card after 30 seconds for Watkins. Arsenal had a chance after 3 minutes that Saka or Aubameyang could have scored and probably should have scored. They had another one after 5 minutes. And now there's been a big kind of hullabaloo with Martinez. So Martinez was going to kick the ball out of his hands, ran to the edge of the 18-yard box, and as he was in the motion of kicking it, Aubameyang jumped in front of him and blocked it. So it looked like the ref was going to book Aubameyang, but he just gave him a speaking to. But yeah,
that's a strange one. After the yellow cards already coming out. I mean, I don't want Arsenal players to be getting booked, but that is a bookable offence.
It is, yeah, blocking, and like everybody knows that as well. Like, while the keeper is kind of still in that motion, and especially because Tyrone Mings went over to the referee and kind of got straight in his ear. So I was expecting a yellow card as well, but he didn't give one. Sky Sports actually just pulled up a stat as well, which is something I didn't notice when I was looking into this game. But Arsenal and Villa are the 2 leaders in the Premier League in terms of conceding in the first 15 minutes. So there's 8 minutes left for that if you want to get on it. Arsenal have just had the ball in the back of the net, but it's been disallowed for, I think, a foul. So they're a foul or offside. So,
but like, a VAR reviewed or just?
No, I think the whistle was gone before that. It is a foul at the edge of the box. So the defender was kind of messing around with the ball at the edge of the box. Lacazette kind of hooked his arm under his and pulled him back a bit, won the ball across to Aubameyang, and Aubameyang scored. So it was deserved to be ruled out. But as I said, like, this is one of the most exciting 8 minutes, especially for a 0-0 game, that you'll see, that I've seen in the Premier League this season. So fingers crossed it continues like that.
Great ball in. Another corner for Crotona here. They are all over Alessandria since that non-red card. The German game, we actually looked at this for over 2.5 goals, not because I had any knowledge about the Bundesliga, but it was Mainz against Augsburg, and it was 19-20 for over 2.5. That's the highest I've really ever seen a Bundesliga game for goals. So I thought, I should back that. And it's 3-0 after half an hour. So that has posed in. Obviously didn't back it though, but I did think about it. Crotona corner here now. What's nicely caught by the keeper. The Alessandria players look leggy already. Are you still watching that game by any chance, or do you still have it on?
I still have it on here, yeah. Again, every time I look down, it's just going out for a corner or there's something happening on it. But again, the Arsenal game is just end to end as well. I honestly can't keep up with both of them. There's been a tangle in the box there from a corner that might go to VAR. No, it hasn't. It was a Villa corner. Lacazette looked to have conceded a foul in the box, but nothing has been given. And now Arsenal are back on the attack, so they've just gone straight on the counter attack down the left hand side now. Bit of a bad ball in, but it's headed out for an Arsenal corner. So I said it's just end to end in this game. I don't know how it's 0-0 after 10 minutes, but I can't see it being 0-0 at half time.
Lacazette reminds me
a goal here.
Lacazette reminds me of Shane Long in that kind of role as a forward who just annoys the living hell out of all the players that are set there to defend him for the game. Just always at people and just working for the whole 90 minutes. He doesn't just sort of step away from the play and wait for the opportunity. Like, he's just all over there's going to be this could actually be a red card now for Crotona. He's just really high boot that got someone. or you wouldn't want to be got. That wasn't a red. I don't know. Happy with these red cards not coming, but if you were an Alessandria fan, you would be livid. An Alessandria player jumped up to head the ball and got a really, really high boot in the midriff. And here we go. Keeper's gone. Oh, you clown. How did he miss? The keeper came out, lost the ball. He was lying on the ground. The player had an open goal pretty much to shoot at. And instead of shooting at it, he tried to flick it over the keeper, and the keeper just sort of stood up and got it in the back.
I know. Was it Mullen-Harry?
It was. Yeah, it was indeed.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he had a great chance there. Getting into good positions, but to me, he tried to be too clever with that one, and he really should have just drilled it low and hard. Wasn't the best angle, but a clever flick over the keeper was not the play there.
Yeah, I've just gone in. It's 4-9 for a first half goal in the Arsenal game, but that's a little short for me. So I'm gonna leave it off maybe another 5-10 minutes and see if it drifts towards evens. Game has just been stopped for a player down. I'm not exactly too sure. It might be. No, it's not Party. Trying to figure out who it is down on the ground. But there's someone down holding their face. It's Lacazette. Gets an elbow off Tyrone Mings. So two players jumping for the ball. Mings came across with his elbow. If you were on the continent, it's definitely a yellow. In England, I don't know whether it is, but Lacazette makes the most of it anyway. He's riding in pain on the floor. So obviously I haven't got the sound on, so I don't know if it's going to VAR or anything like that, but Lacazette is back on his feet. I'm surprised there wasn't even a free kick given for that, because it was quite aggressive by Mings with his arm. Doesn't look to be anything coming from it, but just another thing to add to this fast start.
Yeah. And with the early yellow card, you'd be even more surprised that didn't turn into anything there.
Yeah, so the ref just gave a drop ball. He actually gave a drop ball to Villa because he stopped it for a head injury. So he obviously didn't think much of the challenge, or the challenge was in any way a foul. But as I said, I think if that happened in Champions League, there's definitely a card being shown.
Yeah. That game kind of is one of those ones where you're nearly, not a great chance for Crotona there. That centre back again, is it?
Why are the centre backs getting all the chances? I
don't know what that wasn't even
strikers.
Yeah, no, just give it to Mulatieri and let him try and lob the keeper again. Nearly half time here, 42 minutes gone. I'd say there'll be at least 5. I actually think there could be more than 5 minutes added on here, because the 2 non-red cards and the penalty. So probably a bit to go, but 43 minutes on the clock.
And do you know the stats on Mulatieri about game time? Does he usually come off? Does he get 90 minutes?
Yeah, he generally gets 90 minutes. There was a couple of games where he didn't actually start, but he doesn't really get taken off. Young player. He's in good form. There's no reason to be taking him off early. He's that's not something. He'd probably come off now on the hour based on the fact that I'm saying this, but doesn't usually get taken off. I'd be very tempted to back a goal. There's 5-1 for a first half goal in this game, and 7-1 now on Betfair. And I think there could be 5 minutes added on. Bicycle kick nearly scored. Mulatieri again.
At least he's getting these chances, which is...
Yeah, that was actually a really well taken bicycle kick, even though he just kind of had his angle a little bit wrong. But he hit it sweetly. Probably went a metre wide, in fairness. But yeah, I like that he's getting into those positions. You know what I mean? That the halftime team talk could be telling him just keep the head down and keep doing what you're doing and your break will come, sort of thing. So happy with that. Sampdoria game got a bit quiet. Spezia are actually having all the chances. So they've had 7 shots and 75% possession. And Sampdoria are winning 1-0 with their only shot of the game. That was actually an own goal. So pretty harsh on Sampdoria here.
Yeah, that is.
On Spezia, apologies.
I'm looking at the red card market here in the Arsenal game because it has started so feisty. So obviously there's been a booking already after, as I said, 30 seconds. Mings probably should have had a booking. There's just been a tackle by Lacazette where he's just trying to shield the ball, but he puts his foot over the top of the ball.
Yeah.
And he caught, I think it was Douglas Luiz on the ankle. Douglas Luiz went down in pain. And again, the ref didn't give a booking. There's been a couple of other feisty little challenges and things like that have happened. So it's 16-5, so just over 3-1 for a card or a red card in the match. But I'm thinking that the 4-1 for a second half red card is value because I can see that there's going to be a few.
So speaking of value,
in the rest of the in the rest of the set or the rest of the first half. So I'm going to give it another 5 minutes and then back one goal in the first half and red card in the second half, and that double should be about 7-1. So
speaking of first half goals that are 7-1, I just said that there'll be a goal in the first half of this game, and it's just come. So Alessandria scored 1-0. Yeah. So I did that. I backed it with it. When I backed it, it was 5-1 before it drifted with the goal in the Arsenal game. So I'm kind of waiting there. But 1-0 Alessandria. Somehow only 2 minutes of injury time. But anyone watching this, that's another live winner that we've called out for you there. So we can add that 7-1 to the monster record we have of giving out in play bets on this show. Game is breaking into kind of like handbags here, so I don't think there's going to be much more first half action. But yeah, 1-0 Alessandria, 47 minutes gone, and a nice 7-1 winner there for anyone who managed to get on it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to get on this as well. So it's a 7.5-1 double. So need one goal in the first half in the Arsenal game and a red card in the second half. So
nice.
As I said, the way the game is started, there has to be more cards, and like it's just been end to end, so there has to be goals as well. So fingers crossed that comes in. But about 7.5-1 on Betfair. You might get better prices elsewhere, but Betfair was the only one I had open.
Nice. We've got a comment in from Canal Familia Noveas, celebrating that Alessandria goal. So hopefully you backed the goal there when we called it out, or maybe you're just an Alessandria fan, or maybe just a fan of goals in general. So let us know what you're celebrating there. But yeah, a nice time for the goal anyways. What a great time to score if you're an Alessandria fan.
Yeah, and Canal is now the second entry in our competition. So again, for anybody who's just tuned in, we have a bet on. It's Lacazette to score or to have 2 shots on target in the Arsenal game. Muliantari to score for Crotona anytime, and over 2.5 goals in Sampdoria Spezia. That's 9-1. We've £10 on it. So whoever we judge as being the best comment throughout the night, so it can be a stat, question, whatever you want it to be.
A celebration.
Our celebration. If our bet lands, we'll give the winnings away to somebody who's commented. So if you're new to the show, get commenting, ask us a question, or tell us who you're backing, and we can share down bets on.
Yeah, exactly, Gary. The halftime stats have come up for this Crotona game, and there was 20 shots in that first half. So I knew I wasn't.
Arsenal just hit the crossbar. The free kick from about 35 yards, just from on the right hand side of the pitch, just kind of lobbed into the box. A bit of a goal mouth scramble, came back to Party. He was stretching for it and kind of toe poked it, and hit the crossbar. So I'm just watching it again here. He was actually at the edge of the 6-yard box. He kind of dived at it, caught it on the volley, but it was with his toe, and just came back off the crossbar. But it's gone out for an Arsenal corner now, so Arsenal putting the pressure on big time.
Did you say it was Party who hit the bar?
Party, yeah.
Someone did up a thing, I saw it on Twitter, because he had 2 shots for his nation, and both of them went in during the last international break, and someone had a stat up of like how many shots he's taken for Arsenal and not scored versus how many shots he's taken for Ghana and scored, and it's like 75% of his shots for Ghana go in, and he's had something like 300 for Arsenal, and none of them have gone in.
Yeah, I assume like he has Thomas on the back of his jersey, but I'm assuming
that is him. Yeah. You couldn't have party on the back of your jersey. You'd be a walking banter kind of thing. Yeah.
No Thomas, no party.
Yeah. I'm over now while we're waiting for what has gone halftime in the Serie B. I am watching the Sampdoria Spezia game. And, oh, what a goal. Straight away. 2-0 Sampdoria. Wow.
Brilliant for the bet.
Yeah, brilliant for the bet. Just really, really open from Spezia here. You kind of feel sorry for them. I would feel sorry for them if I didn't have such a soft spot for Sampdoria. But the ball comes to him. I think it was... Oh, no, let me see who it was. Again, Edivold has gone into a big pile in the middle here to celebrate. It was Candreva. And I think he could have stopped, gone down, tied his bootlaces, and still nobody would have gotten to him in time. He had so much space. A throwaway halfway into the Spezia box. A shoddy bit of defending. Ball went back across the box, and he's just coming in from the left-hand wing, and just maybe he didn't have as much space as I saw on first glance, but just on the half volley, just rifles it through the keeper's legs, or certainly beside the keeper and right beside the keeper. Brilliant finish. 2-0 Sampdoria.
Good news for our bet.
Yeah, great news for the bet. Yeah, that's looking pretty solid now.
Oh, goal, party.
Lovely.
So Arsenal got a corner.
Just saying that he hadn't scored in so long.
Yeah, swung in from the right-hand side. And, he got the header from about 6 yards out. I think it went straight in. There was an Arsenal player, I think it was Aubameyang, was lurking at the back post and might have got one of those touches on the line. Oh, yeah, it went straight in, but we actually could have did with the keeper parrying it, because if the keeper had got to it, Lacazette was standing there to tap it in. But yeah, it's a party goal. As I said, that gives the over half a goal in the Arsenal match. I think I got it at 6-10, which was really free money based on how the game had started. So, I don't think that's the last of the scoring in this game either. But it brings the 7-1 into play. So anybody who was listening over the last few minutes, we called out over half a goal in the first half in Arsenal, and a red card in the second half was a 7-1 double or 7.5-1 double. So obviously the first leg is landed. We just need a red card in the second half now to land that.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and my one came in there as well, the one that I'd said. So I got 5-1 on a goal in the Serie B, and basically 1-2 in the Arsenal game. So lovely stuff.
Probably works out well for our bet as well now that, like, not that Villa were sitting back, but they have to come out a little bit more now that they're 1-0 down. Yeah. So you'd expect Lacazette to get a few more chances. Plus, Lacazette actually was playing very deep. So they started off in the first few minutes where Lacazette was playing as the main striker, but he ended up for kind of the last 5 minutes being more of an attacking midfielder, with Aubameyang being kind of the lead striker. So hopefully that changes now that they've got the goal, because you don't want the player we need 2 shots on target playing in midfield.
Oh, not at all. We don't want to turn it into a discussion about Arsenal's strength and depth, but for me personally, I don't know if that midfield is, I mean, I know it's very young, and, you don't want to be talking ill of young players, but, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Saka, I think they're so similar players that there's something missing from that midfield. And I think Lacazette has got a little bit more kind of nous about him, that, when he does kind of drop deep, he's very effective, because he's very different than those players that are in there. So hopefully, like you said, now he doesn't have to do it so much. And
I think that's what I'm surprised. I don't know who the player would be, but I remember when, like, Mendieta came to the Premiership. Was it Middlesbrough he played for? And he was just like, an old head with, like, younger players around them. I think if they got somebody like that, I said I haven't got a player just off the top of my head, but maybe I don't know what player it would be, but I think Arsenal needs someone like that. They don't need a star. They don't need a flash player, because they've got enough of those. If they just had somebody who was going to kind of sit there and keep steady the ship when they're under the cosh a bit, I think they'd be a lot better team. So, I'll try and have a think about what players are out there.
Sergio Busquets or someone like that.
Yeah, Busquets, or
I hate him.
I suppose like Declan Rice is young, but like a Declan Rice, or somebody like that. Not a Fred or a McTominay, but
someone who's going to be standing in the right position, not necessarily someone who's going to light things up when he I think that's the problem with a lot of the Arsenal players at the minute, is that their highlight reels are unbelievable, but there's just a kind of a lack of consistency in terms of like, you know, I know I saw, I think it was Roy Keane. No, sorry, it was Gary Neville giving out about United, basically how the players react to when they concede. And
yeah, and they're just going to throw the balls up or their hands up in the air.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I feel like Arsenal are a bit like that. There's no one there who's going to just grab it. Like, I mean, not to keep harping back to the 90s, but your Vieiras and Keanes, but someone's just going to say, look, it's a goal. The goal doesn't matter. Get back in position and we'll do it right the next time. It's this kind of like melodramatic reaction. And you know what I mean? Everyone then wants to become a game winner, where it's just like, you know, you need your kind of cool head, like you said.
And that's someone just to break up the play and give the ball to the good players so they're not having to do all the hard yards, like, you know. But
yeah, exactly. Just on the Serie A here, it's coming up to halftime, 41 minutes. And in fairness to Spezia, they're playing with a lot of heart. I mean, they're 20-1 to win now, so that the game is as good as gone. But they're still playing with a lot of heart, still have over 2/3 possession, and they've had, what is that? They've had 4 times as many shots as Sampdoria, so they're not, you know, they haven't given up, but they need something special in the second half to salvage even a point from this one.
And just in the Arsenal game, Tyrone Mings has picked up a booking, so that's 2 players on a booking. Some Mings probably should have had a booking for that elbow in the aerial challenge with Lacazette as well, so he could be the one to get sent off in the second half for landing the 7.5 to 1.
Here's one for you: do the referees, like, do they look at the first half at halftime, or do they recap a bit? Because so often a player who gets away with one in the first half gets sent off in the second half.
I think they have to. I think they have to have it in the back of their head, and maybe, like, I don't know whether they'd watch it back, but, you know, go off and the lino would be like, oh, you missed one there or whatever, and then they're going to even out. There's definitely, and I don't think it's done on purpose. It's more just like subconscious human nature. Whereas if we were referees or like I was a referee and you were the linesman, you said something at halftime like, "Oh, Mings was lucky to get away with that." It would just be ringing in the back of your head, and the next time, you know, you have a chance to book him, it probably just happens subconsciously, as I said. So, but yeah, Arsenal are on another attack here, just overrun a little bit by Saka, but the game hasn't slowed down anyway. It's still end to end. Anybody interested in getting on more goals, I would recommend that. Over 2.5, over 3.5 looks kind of likely at the minute.
This is a game I was kind of hoping would be 0-0 at halftime, right before we got the in-play bets, and you know, you get a great price on some second half goals. You might have seen me jump around a bit there when you were talking, Gary. Sampdoria were in the right in the heart of the Spezia box, had a great chance. I thought I saw the players celebrate, but I actually saw them appeal to the referee for a penalty. Would have been a very soft penalty, so nothing came of it. But still, yeah, this game is like a 0-0 on the 80th minute, and, you know, like, it's just so exciting, so open, and but yeah, it's 2-0, 44 minutes nearly now. Just a yellow card to one of the Sampdoria midfielders here. I can't see who it is, for a sort of a cynical trip on someone who just gotten past them. But yeah, very exciting game here. Not long until halftime though.
I still can't get over how deep Lacazette is playing. Joe, he's actually playing as a midfielder there. Chase back, put 2 tackles in midfield. And he just seems to be, he's kind of sitting just ahead of the 3 midfielders as an attacking midfielder, with Aubameyang ahead of him. Now, it's not all the time. Sometimes he gets into the actual striker's position, but a lot of the time he's just being floated around midfield. He's actually looked like, it's only a half an hour going, he's looking a little bit leggy, to be honest. I wouldn't be... Oh, what a save. Saka should have Arsenal, like, the 2 chances he's missed are 2 of the easiest chances you'll get, or say he'll get this season. So Arsenal should be 3-0, be out of sight. But Smith Rowe got the ball in the midfield, charged, gave a ball on the left-hand side, was crossed into the back post. Saka all on his own just to keeper to beat. And he kind of just passed it at the keeper. Keeper saved it with his legs. You have to be scoring from that position. Like, I mean, you could say it's a good save because he gets it with his legs, but you need to be scoring those.
It was a good save, but he shouldn't have been able to save that one. Yeah.
Especially after the other one. I think was probably in his head with the other one, where he probably should have, like, I was actually going to say it, I didn't. In the position for the first chance, it's just hit the target, not power.
Yeah.
And he went for power and skied it. Whereas there he went for just hitting the target, not really much power behind it. And just for anybody who might have had a bet in the League One game today, I think it's
That's
delayed.
the French League One, if anyone's curious.
Yeah. So just got a text in from our French expert, Dermo. So I don't know if Dermo's watching in. Sometimes he watches in to keep an eye on us. But Saint-Étienne are playing Angers, and it's been delayed because fans have thrown about 200 flares onto the pitch. So if you're wondering why it might be suspended, that's the reason.
Yeah, the Aucas over there in France, really, aren't they?
I know, it's mad. You can't get a bottle of water with a cap on it in England, and on the continent it's just flares and did you see Ajax during the week?
Yeah,
and
unreal.
Like full on fireworks going and hitting the roof of the ceiling on the stand, yeah, incredible.
Loads of those teams, like the ultra section, the ultras do their own inspections of people entering the stadium. So it's not, the stewards don't check it, they check themselves. It's definitely they don't check themselves, but yeah, it's great. It's much better that way as well.
Oh no, it is. They add to the atmosphere, and I think that they should just do it in a controlled way where have people at the front with flares and a bucket of sand, and you get away with it. Speaking of getting away with things, Villa aren't getting away with much anymore in the Arsenal Villa game. John McGinn has just been carded for a really, really cynical foul on Saka. So that's 3 players carded in that game already. So again,
I said it beforehand, that game was 100% going to have a load of cards. It just, those Friday night games, they just get like that. Someone starts well, they get feisty, and hopefully we just get the right players for the bookings.
Yeah, and it's 3 Villa players as well for that red card bet. So
yeah,
he can sub all 3 off, but it's unlikely he's going to sub all 3 off. Sometimes you'll see a player get a yellow card and he'll be dragged kind of after the hour mark. But McGinn is probably one of their most reliable midfielders, and Mings is their most reliable centre half, and Watkins is probably their best striker. So you'd be pulling the spine out of the team if you did that. So we should get a bit of leeway out of the or a bit of mileage out of the second half.
But that hooking a player who's already booked is kind of when you're hanging on for the result as well, and you can't risk the fella getting sent off. But you're 1-0 down away from home. It's not even really a doable thing. Do you know what I mean? You can't really start, you know what I mean? You got to go for the game, not try and settle for what you've got.
Yeah, exactly. So Darren Healy just has a comment in on Facebook asking, is there any horses for tomorrow? So Darren, if you're a reader of Sports Rundown, there'll be an article up overnight. Haven't gone through everything yet, but Tully Begg's form was boosted today by the Irish horse winning at Cheltenham. So he looks a good bet. He's a favourite, about 5-2. Jordan Game for the board for Gordon Elliott. So that's the one on the top of my head. But as I said, there'll be an article up on the website overnight. So make sure to check that out in the morning.
Yeah, or let us know your picks in the comments as well. We're always open to hear more of them. Look, Harry's been on a good run with the racing recently, so we're looking to compliment, not replace.
In there, but
yeah, I think I've seen his pop up in the comments before with a few 2 to 7 shots, so we'll see.
But yeah, as I said, so that's a couple of people now. So Paul, Darren, and Canal, you guys are all in with a shout of winning our Friday travel. So again, for anybody who's just tuned in, I can see we've got a few new viewers on Facebook and on YouTube. Just tuned in, we have a treble on. So it's Alex Lacazette to have 2 shots on target. Molly Antari to score for Crotona in the Serie B, and over 2.5 goals in the Spezia and Sampdoria game, which is currently 2-0. It was a 9-1 treble. So if that lands, we'll be given the full winnings away. So 100 quid to what we deem to be the best comment. So it could be a question, a funny comment, the slagging of one of us, the stat, whatever you want, one of your own bets. Put a comment in, and we'll choose one at the end of the night. And I said if the bet lands, you win that 100 quid. So it's a good incentive to get commenting.
Yeah, Although we're going to exclude any comments that refer to my French pronunciation, so they are out
or
of
or
running. Yeah. Yeah, we're back in the Serie B now. It's just kicked off, 45 in a few seconds. Crotona came tearing out of the blocks here. It's all them so far. Maybe a little bit low on quality and overly high on enthusiasm, but at least they're putting the effort in. Usually when a team concedes very late, they do come flying out in the second half. So it would be great for Willem to get ideally just a penalty that he could tap in, but an early goal anyway and get us moving again.
Yeah, definitely. So Liam, I don't know whether you want me while we were talking about League One, just to walk through Dermo's bets for the weekend.
Yeah, give me 1 second. We'll get that ready to go.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but there's a bit of a lull in the Arsenal game. So
there's no lull in the Serie B. I was watching it there. I wasn't
expecting to have
jobs thrown at me. Well, we're ready to go now. So yeah,
League One is up. Dermot's been on really good form this season. I'm a little bit behind. I'm responsible for doing up the P&Ls for the site. So I haven't got around to doing it, but at last count, about probably 2 weeks ago, if you backed every bet that Dermot put up on the site this season, you put £10 on it, you'd be up £240. So there aren't that many or any free tipping sites that will give you a return like that.
There's not many paid tipping sites that would give you a return like that either.
Yeah, exactly. We track a paid tipster, and I think they're running at like £3 of profitability this year through like probably hundreds of bets. So the fact that Dermo has that, as I said, he's had a few where he's been a bit unlucky. The one that springs to mind, and a lot of people probably would have counted that as a winner, but we're fully transparent and straight down the line here at Sports Rundown. But he had Nice to win against Marseille at the start of the League One season, and the match was abandoned after 80 minutes when Nice were 1-0 up. So obviously that probably would have been a winner, isn't included. And I think Nice were a decent price that day. I think they might have been 2 or 3 to 1. So that would have bumped it again. So yeah, so his picks this week, I'll just fly through them. As I said, they're on the site. So if you go on to sportsrundown.com, you'll find them there. But in the Lons Mets game, so this seems like a really good bet. So Lons are second in the table, Mets are 18th. So on that stat alone, you'd kind of be looking at Lons like a home win. But he also points out that Mets have 6 players out injured. So with the injuries and the fact that there's just such a gulf in class between the two teams, he's putting Lons -1 up. I think it's 7-4. For that, he seems to expect a comfortable home win. So so with the 6 men out injured and that difference in form, it seems likely. Then Lorient versus Bordeaux. So pointing out here, Lorient went to Marseille last weekend and got trashed 4-1. And a lot of people would think that would mean that they're not that good. But Dermot points out that their home form is actually really good, and good sides like Lille, Monaco, etc. have gone to Lorient and struggled this season. So he's expecting them to win this game against Bordeaux as the underdogs. So that's a home win there at 21-20. And then the last leg is PSG versus Marseille. We're going to get into this in a little bit later, a bit more detail later on about the stat attack. And like myself and Dermot didn't talk about this before he wrote his article, but we're going to have the exact same feeling. So I won't go through the whole thing because we'll be repeating ourselves later on. But the bet there is over 3.5 goals at 11-8. So you put the 3 of those in a treble, it's 12-1. And I said with the form he's been on, it's well worth backing. So check out the reasoning on the website and make sure you get on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you were talking there, we got a follow-up comment from Darren who's put his tip in the comments just to make sure that it doesn't get stolen and used on the site by our horse racing expert over the weekend. So
thanks for that, Darren. There's another one that won't be winning the prize of best comment of the night.
Yeah, so that's Darren and Paul excluded from the best comment question. So yeah, Canal Familia Noveus is back in the lead there. The Crotona game, another stoppage here. Alessandria kind of getting kind of getting on my wick a bit now. They're milking every little knock. I mean, they're in really bad form. They just got promoted from the Serie D, so maybe, you know, any win is going to be huge for them. But I mean, there's still 40 minutes to go in this, and they're kind of hanging on for the goal, or for hanging on to their goal. So yeah, hopefully Crotona can get their shots happening pretty soon. Nearly half time in the Arsenal game, Gary. Any sign of a second goal there in the first half?
The last couple of minutes, it's just died down. So there's 41 and a half minutes gone. And I'd say for probably 36, 37 minutes, it was just gung-ho both ends. But it's kind of settled down. I think both teams are a bit tired now, want to get to half time. So don't know whether there'll be another goal before half time, but hopefully the second half is as explosive as the first half. I can't believe just 40 minutes gone, because it's just been so entertaining that it's flown in, you know.
I'm actually the same with this Serie B game. It's 51 minutes. Like, if I wasn't looking at the clock, I would have said it was still the first half. It's absolutely zoomed along. Another Crotone member of the back four has just tried his luck up front. I don't know what they're doing, but I wish they'd just stop and just give the ball to Mulatieri and let him get his goal, because he just the shot barely reached the end line, but it was probably closer to the corner flag than the goal when it did bobble across, and never sitting on anybody. There's another Alessandria player down now with what looks like a life-threatening injury, so on a bit flat there now again.
Ooh, I said that there wouldn't be any goals. Villa actually had a decent attack there down the right-hand side. Ball got crossed in, and Ramsdale did well to come out and claim. What do you think, as an Arsenal fan, there about the goalkeeping situation? It's a bit strange, like.
It is, and I didn't want them to get rid of Martinez after that FA Cup, but Ramsdale is the best keeper they've had, other than Martinez, in probably 10 years. So,
you think I really don't rate him, to be honest?
Yeah, I didn't know much of him. I must admit, I hadn't really seen a whole lot of him playing. We talked about it when there was the rumors during the summer, and you actually said, whatever they do, don't buy Ramsdale. And he's been so solid, making great saves. What I think has been good, he's been making saves at crucial times. You know, often like Arsenal just go 1-0 ahead, and then they have a big tendency to concede right after they score. He saves at important times. They have the best record from set pieces now this season, and historically they've been pretty poor at defending those. I think he's been a great signing, and none of the goals they've let in have really been his fault. So I had very low expectations based on what people had said to me, and he's sailing way beyond them. So pretty happy with it. Like I said, I wouldn't have gotten rid of Martinez in the first place. I think Martinez is a super goalkeeper, but it wasn't my decision. So I mean,
yeah,
Ramsdale or Leno, it's Ramsdale 100%.
I didn't think Leno was that bad. I didn't think there was if I was the manager, I would have had Martinez starting for me and sold Leno if you were selling one of them. Yeah. But I didn't think there was any reason to buy another keeper to replace Leno. And if I was buying a keeper based on, especially an English keeper, I would have bought Johnson if I was them. I think Johnson, the West Brom keeper, he just seems a lot more reliable than Ramsdale. I think Ramsdale has always been a decent shot stopper, but he has a little bit of the Pickfords about him, where he'll just do something stupid or make a mistake. And I don't know. I've seen him live a couple of times, and when West Ham have been playing against Sheffield United and teams he's played, I think he played for Bournemouth before that, you kind of always feel you have a chance as the opposition against them. That's the way I felt anyway, but maybe it's just me.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder with those players, like how much of that comes from the fact that maybe the team around them are not really that great, and they kind of get exposed an awful lot. I mean, you look at Wojciech Szczesny at Juventus, and he's one of the better keepers in the Serie A, and he's winning trophies left, right, and centre with Juve, and he looked like an absolute shambles with Arsenal because he was just getting exposed all the time. So, I mean, maybe it's beginner's luck, maybe he's just hit the ground running. I don't know, but I've seen nothing from Ramsdale that would make me doubt him in any way. And like I said, other than Martinez, he's the best keeper. I think I go back as far as like even Lehmann, to be honest. Like he's very, very solid there. So, yeah, time will tell. We'll see at the end of the season how it's going. But so far, I'm pretty happy with him.
Yeah, just an update on the Arsenal game. So for the bet, Lacazette got played through there a couple of minutes ago. Looked like he was going to get a snapshot off, tried to take an extra touch and turn inside, and the defender took it off and went out for a corner kick. And then from that corner kick, Villa have kind of broke away. They've got a free kick just outside the Arsenal box on the left-hand side. It's going to be swung into the box now. But Sambi Lokonga got booked for Arsenal. He pulled, I think it was John McGinn for Villa. He pulled him back, had a good hold of the shirt. So I think, if I'm counting correctly, that's the fourth booking of the first half. So it's a pretty shocking free kick. Arsenal are on the counter-attack now. It's been kicked out for a throw. So 30 seconds left in the first half. But it's starting to liven back up just before half-time.
Typical, yeah.
And say on Facebook, we've had, I've been monitoring their Facebook stats here, and we've had hundreds of viewers so far throughout the night. We haven't had one comment on Facebook, so I don't know why people on Facebook are so shy. Again, you have your chance to win £100, so get your comment in to be part of that. Oh, that should be a penalty for Arsenal. The ref hasn't given it. Has to go to VAR. Looked like a definite penalty. So the only reason they don't give this penalty is because Lacazette had lost control of the ball in the box. But
right. But that shouldn't mean it's not a penalty.
There was definitely contact on his ankle. He went down. Again, without commentary, I don't know whether it's gone to VAR. I haven't seen a replay of it, but in real time, it looked to me like it should have been a penalty. Now, the fact that the play is still going on, I'm assuming it's not going to be given, but I'd like to see it again because I don't think it's the Lacazette rose tinted glasses I'm looking through. It definitely looked like a penalty to me. And the ball's going to go out of play here, I think, so we should see a replay in a second. Okay, so the ref's just blown up for half time, so it obviously didn't go to VAR. Hold on. He's gone to VAR now.
Oh, wow.
So Saka plays the ball into the box. Yeah, I think this is a definite penalty. So, Target is lying on the ground. He goes to kick the ball, kicks through Lacazette. He gets the ball, but he kicks the back of Lacazette's ankle. I think it should be a definite penalty. Ref looks to be going over to have a look.
I just think the fact that it's blown for half time is very unlikely.
He was just about to blow up for half time. There was 2 minutes added on. He played 3 minutes, and now it's going to VAR. I think it's a definite. Lacazette does well to put his foot in there.
Yeah,
but it looks to me like you can't go through a player from the back like that, and he makes contact with the back of Lacazette's calf. I don't know whether you're watching, Albie, and what you think, but
I've just clicked on, but it's not up yet.
To me, it's 100% a penalty. I just hope that Lacazette takes it, not Obama.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't go in on a player from behind like that. I know he's going for the ball, but
anyone in the comments who is watching us, let us know if you think it's a penalty or not. As well, we'd love to hear it. While that's happening, Slats, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I think he's given it. He's given the penalty.
Very good. It's the weirdest thing I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, so we just need a Lacazette to take it now. I assume after being fouled, he will take it.
Or Aubameyang could take it and it just gets.
I can't believe it took VAR. I suppose that was the first time that the play had stopped, but it took VAR probably 2.5 minutes to kind of say it to the ref. So there was supposed to be 2 minutes played in the extra time, and there's already been 4 minutes and 40 seconds. So they've gone well over. But
so had he actually blown up for half time, or did he just blow to go to VAR?
That was the next end play. So he was just about to blow up for half time, and before the players ran off, he called them back and went to VAR. Looks like Lacazette is taking it. I hope he is. Martinez kind of psych him out.
Right? Just hit the bloody target.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you want them to hit the target, keeper to save it, and then have to score from it.
Score the rebound.
Although Aubameyang's taking the ball off him. So Aubameyang.
To be honest, Aubameyang has got I would probably give it to Aubameyang as well. Now that he's taking them off, we'd probably mess it up. I remember we had a bet. This is probably 2 seasons ago for Ibrahimovic to get 2 shots on target for AC Milan, and he got a penalty after about 6 minutes, saved, buried, and he got his 2 shots after that. It was in within 6 minutes because of the saved penalty.
Oh, saved! Goal!
Lovely.
Exactly what we wanted to happen for Lacazette, but it happened for Aubameyang. So, Martinez makes a great save to his right-hand side, but parries it out, and Aubameyang goes in and scores. So he took the penalty with his right foot. I think he scored with his left foot. Martinez is distraught. The players have had to go over and peel him up off the ground. That's obviously going to be the last kick of the second half.
Martinez is like a lover scorned with Arsenal. Like, he's always does it he never stops talking about them. Obviously, because he got shafted and he was wrongly sold. But I'd say he would have been chuffed to have saved that penalty.
It's an unbelievable save from the back, because it's not a bad penalty. It's like, it's one of those that you have to say the keeper has done quality. And then he nearly gets to the rebound as well. Like, it's some athleticism from because the ball was in the corner from the penalty, so he had to put so much kind of power into getting over to his right hand side, and then to get back up and get down and nearly save the rebound. You have to feel sorry for the keeper, but that said, as soon as this ball gets tipped off now, it's 51 minutes and 47 seconds on the clock. So I assume the ref is going to blow up for half time. Yeah, he's just blown up for half time. We've had a comment in there from Paul Kelly on YouTube just asking the Target get a yellow, and he says no, Paul. So yeah, Target didn't get a yellow, which is surprising considering the ref has been so card happy in the first half. But yeah, like, I have to say, that's one of the most entertaining first halves of Premier League football I've seen in a long time. So fingers crossed it continues for a second half. Yeah, it's been good. I need to go get a beer for a second, lads, because I've done a lot of talking there, if that's all right.
Go for it.
Your bet stats is looking good. So 2-0 Sampdoria Spezia.
Yeah, but probably more importantly is that, like, Spezia look to be dominating. I mean, they've had 2/3 of the possession, the majority of the attacks, more shots, more corners, all the stats you would
At
want.
one point they had 6 shots to 1, and the one shot was a deflected own goal for Sampdoria.
So that's ideal, I suppose. I'd kind of called 2-1 to Sampdoria in the article as well, but the balls to go for that. So it'd be nice if it did go that way. But yeah, once Spezia score, doesn't really matter what it is as far as our action.
Yeah, the Serie B game has gone a little bit annoying now. Like, Mulattieri, the camera keeps cutting to him after every time he misses a chance, and his head is starting to hang a bit. I always get worried when you see that. Like, I mean, because always in the stadium, things are much clearer than they are on TV. Hold on. Oh, missed it. Good clearance off the line.
It looked like there was a lot of action going on, like, on both sides in the first half of that. I've actually gone in on just any second half goal. I backed there a minute ago.
Yeah, that's not
I'm
a bad
also
show.
on Guimarães in the Portugal Primeira Liga to be leading at halftime. They're playing Marítimo, and they're like, well, they were 3-1. They've gone out to nearly 4-1 now, but there's only like 8 minutes left. So hopefully that'll get my night off to a good start. They just seem to be dominating all the possession, attacks, shots, corners, again, like all the right stats. They're 4-7 to win the game. They were like 1-2 or 1-3, I think, a little earlier. Like, so, they're obviously big favourites for it. And I'm just thinking that by the look of the half the way it's gone so far, that they'll get in front at halftime. Now kind of up against the clock at this stage, but there's still about 7 minutes left and whatever injury time. So still a chance.
Yeah. In this Serie B game, Alessandria have had 2 good chances while you were talking there. One that I didn't see what happened, but the crowd went bananas. So, like, a penalty claim, but didn't get given. But the ball hasn't gone out of play, so I don't know if it will be reviewed. But the players still, or the fans still booing away after that non-penalty there. So
yeah, well, I can see on Bet365 it's suspended, but the mini screen is showing that the ball has still been passed around. So
yeah, maybe it's one of those ones that the flag that they know it's going to go to VAR and hasn't gone out of play. This is stupid though. Like, the ball is going nowhere. Just blow the whistle and check it.
They could just do a drop ball and kick it back to the keeper, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's stopped now for a free kick, I think. So they might take a look.
He's given a free kick. He's not even indicating that he's going to check it. So let's see what happens there.
Yeah, it looks. I mean, it's only 5 minutes into the second half in the Serie A, and it looks like Spezia are still dominating a bit. They've had another couple of shots and a few more attacks, so hopefully they can get one back now.
Made a few changes, Crotona, at least one. Oh, that's never a penalty. And Mulatieri's not gotten the hook, so the longer he stays on, the better. I don't think he will get taken off, but the longer that goes, the better anyway. And the more subs that are made in the meantime.
Yeah, that was our fear. Just on Facebook, we've had a comment from Gerard Torres. He says Como Van.
How are you going? Vamos bien, Gerard. ¿Cómo estás tú? In Spanish, for how are you all getting on?
See, our resident Spanish speaker there. Go on, give him a bit more.
Yeah, it just rectifies, what's the word, like kind of makes up for my awful League One pronunciation earlier, League One.
Yeah. You can go through the competition entry because Gerard now, after his comment, has entered in the competition. So I don't know whether you want to explain that to him in Spanish.
That's a complicated one to explain in Spanish, Gary, so I'm going to skip over that. The rules of the competition. Yeah, but now I know it's something I need to learn in my next Spanish lesson is how to explain the rules of that. Free bet giveaway in Spanish.
Yeah, but welcome to the show, Gerard. Nice to have you. Let us know who you're cheering on tonight. So lads, I probably missed it, but do you have any bets on tonight apart from our treble?
Well, I was saying I've an in-play bet for Guimarães in the Portugal Premier League to be winning at half-time, but I'm starting to run out of time now. It's 41 minutes gone, and it's still not all. They've just been dominating all the stats, so and they're odds-on favourites to win the game, so I just thought they might get in front before half-time. It was 3-1 when I backed it. It's 6-1 now, but again, like there's a lot less time left now, so it's looking a little risky. And then that Serie B game that LB is looking for a goal in, I just backed any other goal there because there's just been a lot of chances on both ends. I just wouldn't see it staying 1-0. So, I mean, it was odds on for another goal, but I just went for the one just to build up the bank a bit. But that's it. I'm going to keep looking. The Netherlands...
myself.
The Netherlands, I missed the trick tonight by not going at it. Every game has been over 1.5 goals. Most games have had both teams scoring, and there's been some real high-scoring ones. Almere, who I've backed a few times for over 2.5, and both teams to score were losing 4-2 the last I saw. So there was definitely a bit of money to be made there, but I didn't get involved tonight.
It's always the ones you leave behind that have the action.
Yeah, I mean, to be.
You said, by the way, that I need a goal in this game. I need a particular player to get it, and less and less likely. This is becoming like Alessandria are 9-4. Oh, sorry, they're 9-4 for the next goal. Apologies, no, they must be 1-2 here. Are they 2-7? Jesus, yeah, they're all over. Like Crotona started so well, and they started the second half so well, but it's just going nowhere at the minute. So, Mulatieri, I'm losing faith in him here now rapidly. Just because every time the camera cuts to him, he looks dejected.
Yeah, that's not a good sign, all right. But is he looking dejected having, had a shot or nearly been through on goal, or is he just kind of back defending?
The last one was a shot that he just was crap, and the next one he kind of overran it and got taken off his foot. He hasn't been on the camera now for a while because Sampdoria haven't been near the ball. Crotona haven't been near the ball. Actually, their kit is almost identical to the Sampdoria one. Still have time there, by the way. Oh, no, it's 55 minutes. Still 2-0. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, still 2-0 to Sampdoria, but plenty of time left there.
Looking at the Bowes-Waterford match, we'd looked at Waterford quite a few games recently to get some second half action. It was 0-0 at half time, but been a red card for Waterford since, so not so sure I'll be going near that one. Although they did seem to come to life last week when they got a man sent off. So,
yeah, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't put it past Waterford the way they've been playing those second halves lately.
Yeah, I just think with cup games though, when they don't go your way, it becomes don't lose. It becomes the priority. So
that's true. Yeah, it'll go to a replay, or is it a two-legged fair.
That'll be extra time and then a replay.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, a red card in the second half of an away cup game. Oh, here we go. Here's a great chance for Crotona. Oh, not a great chance anymore. So, yeah, that's really it now. The Sampdoria game has gone a bit quiet. I'm not sure if you're still watching that, Slats, but it's a bit flat.
No, I'm just keeping an eye on this Portuguese game, but it's the 45th minute now, so it's not looking great. Are Spezia still pushing it all in that Sampdoria Spezia game? No. It's just, when they're down 2-0, I suppose there is a point that they could just kind of throw in the towel. But
yeah, I wouldn't say they're throwing in the towel,
so.
But I wouldn't say they're pushing either. It's just kind of a bit flat more than anything. Yeah.
The French game has just kicked off for anybody who's wondering. So, going to do a quick.
At least an hour late, is it?
Yeah. So doing a quick double on overs and corners and goals there. So over 2.5 and over 10.5 is 4-1. So, given the two of them don't like each other, it should be a feisty enough game.
So you're going corners and goals. If you're saying feisty, you're not going for yellow cards, no?
Well, no, I've enough invested in cards on the.
That's why they missed that bit.
Game. So yes, that's you missed that bit. So,
okay.
I did a bet builder before the match that has 2 players to be carded in there. Now there's been 4 first half cards, and neither of them have got carded. Basically, the first booking was after, I think it was 34 seconds in the game. So kind of knew early there was going to be a lot of cards given out. So we've backed a red card in the second half of 4-1. Well, we doubled it up with over half a goal in the first half. It was 7.5-1. So we had that double on. Obviously, there's been the goal. So now that 7.5-1 is riding on a player being sent off in the second half in the Arsenal game. So with 4 yellows out there already and a bit of bad blood, hoping that can kick in.
Nice.
But I missed it as well, Slats. In the first half, we had a 7-1 winner. I said that the Alessandria Crotona game, it was getting late. It was 42 minutes, and it was 7-1 for a first half goal. But we knew there'd be a lot of added time because of the penalty and the 2 kind of potential red cards, and they came in straight away. I didn't get on it myself now, of course, but I did it at a lower price earlier, not the 7th. But another good winner for anyone who's watching us live. Get those good in value or in play value bets.
Yeah, that's quality. There was an early corner already in that Saint-Étienne match, so that's off the mark there anyway, Gary.
Yeah, I'm just going to flick it on now, actually, while the Arsenal match is at half-time, so I think that should be kicking off soon again. But
God, there's been so many corners in this Alessandria game, I just jumped into it there. There's been 19 corners already.
Yeah, there was 20 shots in the first half. It was wild.
Yeah, it looked it. Yeah, that's why I was looking at goals for the second half.
Yeah, this game, I don't see it staying 1-0, but it's flattening out as well a bit. I think at some point Alessandria will stop pushing and just sort of, they'll start sitting back and accepting that lead. There's a good chance for Crotona potentially. Oh, crappy cross into the box. The keeper just punched it away. So yeah, Alessandria gone right back now. They're defending very, very deep.
Geez, Waterford are 12-1 to win that game now. Down to 10 men. That still is a little tempting.
It is a big price. I mean, where was the red card? And let me check when the red card came at. But at some point you have to. The odds do get too high. Waterford were 11-2 before the game started, so that's obviously playing a big part in that.
I still can't believe they're that big, but I don't think I'll be backing them now at even at 12-1.
No,
away from home against a decent side, but I'd love to see them do it. I hate Bows, so. It'd be great cheering on Waterford with all my heart, but yeah, no, I just don't think I wouldn't be putting money on it, I don't think.
Yeah, fair enough.
As well as they have been playing for us.
Yep. No sign of any changes at halftime in that Arsenal match, Gary.
No, it's just going to be kicking off now. So they're on TV here, going to the last ad break. So I'd say in a probably minute they'll be back on. I'm hoping that he gives Lacazette the full 90 minutes, but I said like Lacazette, I'd say for 25 minutes of that half played in centre midfield, and he looked a bit leggy towards the end of the half. So he probably will get dragged. We need him to kind of have a fast start to the second half, get a shot on target early, and then the better be back on. But yeah, not looking great at the minute for him.
Yeah. No, and as well, I feel with Aubameyang having scored, he's probably more likely to be kept on as well anyway, as the game wears out.
Yeah, so they're just back now. So there's a Villa change. Hopefully they're not taking off one of the players that have been yellow carded, but I assume they probably are. No, actually not. So they brought on Leon Bailey for like 3-5-2 here. But yeah, they've left the players on for that are yellow card anyway, which is good for the red card bet.
Sure is. It's a dangerous free kick here for Crotona. It's a good bit to the left of goal, but maybe only a yard or two outside the box. It's not Mulatieri, so I hope this gets parried by the keeper.
Yes, the game's just kicked off there now.
Went to the box on. No, I didn't even clear the wall. Hoofed away.
I've just flicked onto this Serie A game. So the stadiums don't look like they're back to any sort of full capacity there in Italy. Is that right? Looks pretty empty.
Yeah.
Or is that more a reflection on these teams more than the...
No, I saw that earlier. Actually, I don't know if they're allowed back full capacity, but that did look a bit too empty.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, it looks really empty. I mean, there's people there, all right, but I mean, it's only kind of showing the bottom tier. You wouldn't imagine that the upper tiers are more densely seated, but certainly the bottom tier.
Yeah.
That said, behind the goal has a decent crowd. In fairness,
probably just tickets from all over the stadium and everyone congregating behind the goal anyway. So
yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
No such thing as a sign seat over there.
Spread out, but they're just not bothered. That's where all the ultras go anyway, LB, isn't it?
Oh yeah. It's kind of good.
Sorry, go ahead, LB.
Oh no, mine's not urgent. Go ahead.
No, well, so Villa have just had a good chance there. Kind of counter attack down the left hand side, ball over the top to Watkins. He got his left foot. Keeper, like, you'd expect him to just catch it, but he kind of parried it out for a corner, so it's an Aston Villa corner. But I also noticed there was a comment on Twitter. So anybody who tuned in from the start, or if you're on Twitter, you would have seen the kind of entrance video load up. So we have Junior Mecanio to thank for the new entrance music. So if he's watching in, thanks very much. Let us know what you think of it, guys. I think it's nice and upbeat and a nice start to the show. So shout out to McCann for that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it now, I must say. Really enjoyed it.
He says he's available for weddings, funerals, and birthday parties. So anybody looking for a few boppers, let him know.
Yeah, I don't know if that song now would be your typical funeral march, but certainly for a couple of the other types of parties. I very much appreciate that. It's gone suspended in the Arsenal game, Gary. I'm not sure if there's something happening.
Yeah, so looks like a little bit of a dive. So Villa have come back into this game since the start of the second half. Ball came into the box. Ings touched the ball, took a bit of a heavy touch, and then dropped to the ground. He's claiming that his ankle was tapped, but it didn't look to me like it was. So it's a claim for a penalty, but like the ball's gone out of play here. Ref isn't going to VAR. It doesn't look like, so they're just playing the replay of it now. Nah, it's never a penalty. He kind of controls the ball, but then steps back on the defender's foot rather than the defender initiating the contact. Goes down way too easy, so it hasn't been given. And it, if that was given against you, you'd be really, really angry as a defender. So.
Yeah, we said a few times on the show, Gary, if you think it's not a penalty, it must be absolutely not a penalty. Because
it doesn't be my personal opinion. I'd be going with the refs' view because especially in Europe, like the refs give penalties for anything. So that definitely wasn't.
Yeah. Although I did personally back 2.5 in this game, so something different now.
Just had a comment in from my mother as well saying, "Come on, Villa." So I forgot to mention that at the start. My darling mother is a Villa fan, so she's obviously tuned in to the heartache.
Another comment instantly excluded from winning the prize there, so we'll move along. I'm only joking.
I'm thinking of doubling down for Guimarães in the second half. They're 4-6 to win. I might back them for the win with over 1.5 goals. Probably get about 2-1 or maybe 6-4 for that. They absolutely dominated the first half. I can't see them not going on to win that game. So I think I'm gonna jump on something there. I'll let you know once I get on it, but I'm definitely gonna do something.
Speaking of doubling down, I don't see how this game finishes 1-0. This Alessandria Crotona. Crotona could have scored 2 in the last 2 minutes, and they've also been caught on the counter twice. So it's just becoming like target practice here for Crotona.
Another goal there is nearly 2-1 now as well.
Where you see that? I see 13-8 on.
Well, 13-8, yeah, but on the exchange, I'm guessing it's going to be a bit wider than that. So
actually, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to go over to the exchange now and back that because it's corner after corner. I mean, I know corners don't always lead to goals, but there's going to be probably 30 corners coming into this game.
Yeah, it's 2.9 on the exchange, so not far off 2-1.
Yeah, running out of time here. I've got to get this on.
Yeah, Arsenal need to be careful here in the Arsenal Villa game, LB. Villa have just had 2 really good chances. Kind of a block you wouldn't expect or normally associate with a Villa centre half, but they broke, with an Arsenal centre half. Villa broke down the left hand side, ball came into the box to Danny Ings. He took a snapshot, and Ben White just dived across and got in the way of it. But they're they've lost all the momentum at half time. They kind of had the game in the bag, but Villa are kind of on the front foot here. So if they concede, it could turn into a spicy enough ending to the game.
This Crotona game has just gone suspended here as well. As I was about to put the bet on,
I've seen that. Yeah, you don't know what.
It was a really weird one. There was a pass into the box, like just along the ground from the right hand side, and I don't know what it was. There's literally nothing. It must have been something off the ball because there was nothing about that could be in a foul. So I don't know what it was, but someone for Crotona just got booked. Oh, here we go. There's a bit of off the ball stuff here.
Is it in the box even?
No. That should be a red card to Alessandria. The guy was just climbing all over the Crotona players kind of back, hit him in the face very, very softly. And the linesman seems to have spotted it. Now, knowing this, they'll probably just book both players. But that's an intentional hit in the face from, I can't see who it is, but one of the Alessandria wide players. But it's still suspended anyway, so... If they give a red card there, would you still be backing a goal? Because we've spoken about it before. A red card is never good for goals. Do you know what? The fact that the fact that it's been Crotona camped around the Alessandria box for the last 15 minutes, I probably would. But
yeah, it doesn't look like they're giving a red anyway, from what I can see.
No. Two yellows, yellow each.
Saka in this Arsenal game, Liam, he's having the worst game I've seen Saka have probably ever. Like he's well in the game, but he should have 2 goals. And then Arsenal had a counter-attack there where Saka had beaten his man, and all he needed to do was put it to the back post to Aubameyang, and would have had a tap in. And he ended up kind of slowing down so he could set himself for a shot. The defender got back and took the ball off him. So, he could have had 2 goals and an assist pretty easily in this game. Has none of them. So, on another night that it cost you, they're lucky that Villa, Villa in the first half are toothless. They've come out in the second half and have a bit about them. But yeah, they're kind of getting lucky tonight. Or Saka's getting lucky that his mistakes aren't going to really cost, or they don't look like they're going to cost yet.
He's another one of those players that if he wasn't expected to have much of an end product, he'd be fine. But there's not enough of it in that Arsenal team that he finds himself in those positions. And I don't think he has that killer.
Yeah, because I kind of feel sorry saying he's having a bad game because, it's not as if he's giving the ball away all the time at like the halfway line or whatever. But it's just by his standards, you'd expect him to have little show, kind of like
that went to. So the game was about to kick off. The linesman in Alessandria convinced the ref to check the screen. He did, and the player who I thought was fouled has just been sent off. So it is a red card to Crotona, and I will not be back in another goal in that game. That is now 80 odd minutes, and I don't see our guy Mulatieri getting on the score sheet now. Very unfortunate the way that game has panned out.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Oh, goal for Arsenal, 3-0.
3-0, lovely.
Emil Smith-Rowe. So again, Villa had kind of been on top. They'd been pressing, but they were kind of open on the counter attack then. So Villa lost the ball. Smith-Rowe attacked down the left hand side. He was running at Tyrone Mings, went for a shot. I think it took a big deflection. I think it was off Mings into the corner, so it deflected off Mings' knee off the post into the net. But it's 3-0 to Arsenal, so I don't think Smith-Rowe is going to care. He should get the goal because the shot was going to be on target, but the keeper had no chance with the deflection.
Nice. That's that wrapped up now as good as. And this Serie B game is close to being over now as well. So
I've just got on this Gomira's bet for the win and over 1.5 goals. So the second half is just about to kick off now. It was 21-10 for the win. So they're 4-6 to win, but just over 2-1 to win with over 1.5 goals. And given the amount of chances they had in the first half, I'm hoping now that they'll get one of them early and push on from there. I think it's good odds anyway.
Yeah. I might join you on that one actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking back at their recent wins, and they're scoring 2 or 3 goals in almost every one of their last 5 games. When I go back a bit further now, they have a few 0-0 draws there, all right, but lately they've been scoring plenty and winning plenty, so I think this is looking good. Marítimo haven't had a win in a
long time.
1 win in their last 10 games, so yeah, not in the best of form. It's just kicked off there, so get on it.
Just going, nearly went 2-0 there to Alessandria, but they kind of didn't go for it really. Went to the corner when they had a good chance, just running around the clock here. So,
and Nolan isn't happy in the comments on Facebook. She's putting a emoji with the hands over her head. So, it's the life of an Aston Villa fan.
Sounds like one of those.
Just when it looks like we're getting back into it.
Yeah, they had a few chances to get back into it in the first kind of 10 minutes of the second half, but always open to the counter-attack. So just open for a Villa sending off now. There's a few hotheads, like McGinn is a bit of a hothead and Mings is a little bit of a hothead, so I'm hoping one of them can kind of lash out now at one of the Arsenal players and get sent off, cap off a bad night for Villa and let our bet come in.
Yeah, when you're chasing a 2-goal lead, it's very, very tough to get back. Do you know what I mean? You just leave yourself so exposed.
Yeah, and like Arsenal are probably they were one of the best teams. I suppose City are class now on the counter attack, but they're still they're probably one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the Premier League in terms of counter attack with the pace they have up front. Especially Aubameyang has been fairly decent tonight. I've kind of watched him recently and I haven't been that impressed with him, but he looks lively tonight. He obviously got his goal on the penalty and things like that. So
yeah, he's one of, like we said earlier, you were comparing him to, comparing Lacazette to other players. Aubameyang is one of those players, when he's not scoring, he really adds very little else. And then when he starts to score goals, he takes players out of the game and it completely changes. But when he hits a dry spell, it's, he's not very impressive. 6 minutes added on here, by the way, in the Serie B. Wouldn't exactly say I'm optimistic, but at least we're not dead yet. Tailed you on that Portuguese bets, lads.
Oh, you did you? Yeah, they just did a free kick there, but it was the wall did its job and deflected it over for a corner. So I mean, they're still clearly on top. 9 corners to 0.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but we know well here that corners very, very rarely lead to goals. So not expecting anything to come from it.
No.
But yeah, I mean, they're still absolutely dominating. It would be good if they could go up 1-0 early and kind of maybe break the spirit of Marítimo a bit. And, a few goals could come after that then.
Yeah.
It's actually sickening now in the Villa game for the sending off bet because Matt Targett, who was the left back for Villa, he gave away the penalty. But he didn't, as Paul Kelly said just before half time, he didn't get carded for giving away that penalty, and he's just cynically fouled Saka and got a yellow card. So if he had have got the yellow for the penalty, giving away the penalty as well, it would have been a definite second yellow and red card. So a bit frustrating, but that's 5 players now, 4 Villa players that are still on the pitch on yellow cards. So still a chance of that red coming.
Still a good half an hour left in that game as well, is there, Gary?
Yeah, there is, yeah.
And I think
they can't take off all the players, so there's going to be a chance right up until the death with players having the yellow card hanging over them.
That third Arsenal goal probably helps as well, because once the game is out of their hands, they're a bit more likely, I suppose, just to kick out in frustration.
Yeah, they'll just get
playing for the
ready.
early shower.
You want Arsenal to start doing the olays around the pitch, and someone just to get really pissed off that and go in.
Just dive in recklessly.
Yeah.
Up around Target is where you'd want them to be doing it now.
yeah. I said Saka is having a bad game, but that's just in terms of his kind of output. But also on the other side, he's been absolutely kicked about the pitch.
He does get some kicking.
That's at least the second player, could be the third player that's got booked by a massively cynical foul on Saka. So he's definitely still playing his part, even though he could have had 2 or 3 tonight.
And Bonucci's probably one of my favourite players of this current generation, and that thing he did to Saka in the Euros final was an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, well, it won me a bet, and I was never as happy.
A booking bet.
What is it? Sorry.
So, do you know in the Euros, our final, Italy versus England, and the 90th minute, Saka went to break down the right wing, and Chiellini just pulled him back.
Oh yeah,
but I
hilarious.
I had him for a booking, and it was to win a good amount of money. I won't say it now because it'd be massive after timing, but
you have to buy him today as well, Gary. Don't worry about it. We all know.
Yeah. I was at a road party here in London, a street party. We were all our neighbours were watching it on the street, and I was at this yelp out of me in the last minute, hadn't cheered for any of the goals or any other action in the game, and then someone gets booked, and I was like, yeah, we were oh. So.
Did I say Bonucci, by the way? It was Chiellini, obviously.
Chiellini, yeah.
But yeah, Saka gets an absolute hide in every game. It's pretty harsh. Just by the way, this we talked about managers before. We were going to talk about a couple of them tonight, but we're probably going to run out of time. The Crotona manager brought 2 forwards on in the 93rd minute. They've been losing since the first half, and he waited until the 93rd minute. He's robbing a salary down there. What's he doing?
He's watching too much NFL. He wants to bring it to overtime.
Yeah. Absolute Oh, anyway, Alessandria.
Speaking of managers,
corner
though, I
now.
think that's a decent segue. Well, there's a little bit of lull in games to get into the Steve Bruce conversation, and given that Arsenal are on the TV as well. So first off, I tweeted the Sports Rundown Twitter account, so I'm not too sure what you show. So I think you saw that'll be about Arteta's quote of Steve Bruce being one of the most important managers essentially in football history. What is that at the last
100 years? Yeah.
So I don't know what his knowledge of football before 1920 is like, but go ahead and discuss Steve Bruce being one of the most important managers.
I mean, I like Steve Bruce, but I never realised he was an important manager in a historical sense. What did he do that I'm not aware of?
Yeah, what does he mean by that?
I think he meant like influential, like had the biggest impact on the game in the last 100 years.
I assume he was just trying to be nice. Like, listen, my opinion on this is that it's an absolute disgrace the way Bruce was treated. Like, you have to treat a man with dignity. And from the minute he got the job there, he wasn't really wanted by the fans. They were a bit disgraceful to him. But then when the owners came in, they treated him with disrespect. But the biggest one that I have a problem with is Sky Sports. Like, Tottenham were paying Newcastle on Sunday, and from the Wednesday beforehand, all the build up to the game was about Steve Bruce is going to be sacked before the game, and then he wasn't sacked before the game. They're like, oh, he's going to be sacked after the game. It was just like a campaign, really, to get him sacked. So I didn't like any of it. I said I don't think Steve Bruce is like the best manager in the world, but he definitely should have got a chance to have a bit of money, progress. Kind of like what City did with Mark Hughes. Give him a bit of money, see how he can progress. If they're progressing, fine. If not, will change kind of in the summer. The one thing for sure, Newcastle weren't going to get relegated with a bit of cash in January and Steve Bruce at the helm, that way.
But that's the thing. Loads of it doesn't make. Like, first of all, he's the same record, exact same amount of points in 2 full seasons that Benitez got at Newcastle. And I mean, Benitez is treated up there like he was the saviour nearly. So it's really strange that Steve Bruce is so unpopular. I mean, Sky are a disgrace in general, the way they go about things. So I'm not surprised about what, like, but you said it there about the new players coming in. Like, you're going to get a new manager now, which is obviously going to kind of rock the boat a bit. And then you're going to presumably buy a good few players in January, which is going to be more change. And then what do you do? Like, you bringing in a manager for the next 3 years, or you're just getting someone to make sure you don't go down and maybe, kind of get people a bit interested to maybe come here or come there in the next couple of seasons. It just seemed a strange time to get rid of him, and not sure really what it achieved. So, yeah, very strange move.
Yeah, who's the talk about replacing him? Like, is there anyone lined up?
They're saying Paulo Fonseca, who doesn't have a great CV. Like, all the managers that are in the list don't have a great CV. Like, Howe is probably the best of them, and even in terms of things won, he doesn't have a great CV. It's more just he plays a decent style of football. But there's Frank Lampard up there who did an all right job with Derby, but was kind of found out at Chelsea with a lot of money. Fonseca is just a fancy name, kind of young coach. He hasn't done much. I still think if I was a Newcastle fan and there was a Newcastle fan as the manager, I'd be really content. I don't think I've ever wanted, Shells are my team. Don't think I've ever wanted a Shells. One manager sacked, and that was Alan Matthews because he was an absolute wanker. But apart from that, I've never, 25, 30 years supporting Shelbourne, I've never wanted a manager sacked. And the Newcastle fans just all seem to be against a local boy taking over his boyhood club and doing all right on a fairly shoestring budget for the Premier League. It just didn't sit well with me. But the Sky Sports aspect was really bad.
Yeah.
And we just had a comment in on Facebook from
I was going to say that, yeah.
Evan Sharir Sabir. So he's saying the total corners 9.5 and a little bit of a sad face. And then asking, is it a pass? I think he means, is it a push? So, Evan, I'm not too sure what game you're speaking of. If it's the Arsenal game that we've been looking at, it's obviously still 20 games left, or 20 minutes left.
For a long night.
In the Serie B game there, lads, how many minutes have many corners were in the game, do you know?
I'll check it here. It was well into double digits anyway. So
it was 19 when I saw it, and that was with about 20 minutes left.
Okay, so that's well in. It mightn't have been that. So it might be the French game. So maybe, Evan, if you followed me in on the Saint-Étienne Angers game. So for anybody who's just joined us, the bet in that game was over 2.5 goals and over 10.5 corners, doubled up at 4-1. So there's been a goal. Angers have scored. So it's 1-0 to Angers, 31 minutes gone. I actually can't get the stats up on screen here for corners. I think there's been 2, but not 100%.
In the French game, let me check.
In the French game, yeah, the stats aren't loading for me.
I'm seeing 1 corner each way in that game.
Okay, 2 corners. So we probably need another 1 or 2 before halftime to keep that bet live. But the fact that there's been a goal, that kind of gives us some way of going along. And then just an update in the Arsenal game. So obviously we had a bet on Alex Lacazette in that game. As we kind of mentioned, coming up, I think it was about the 40th minute, he looked out on his feet. So he gave the signal to sub himself with cramp after the hour mark. So I'm fairly sure he's gone off. I didn't see the substitution, but he was definitely down on the ground and gave the roll of the hand. So I assume he's gone off.
And that's annoying now.
Just in this Portuguese game, LB,
I'm watching it here.
Marítimo had a goal disallowed.
Yeah.
It was
and now
offside.
Aucas have a dangerous free kick.
Completely against the run of play. And I suppose when you have a win and over 1.5 match goals, it didn't really matter a whole lot if Marítimo scored. I suppose it's not ideal. But, you wouldn't really want your team going down 1-0. But yeah, I got disallowed anyway. And yeah, Guimarães have been still on top before and after it. They were kind of throwing, they had a shot on goal there a minute ago. I don't know, it went suspended? I don't know, was it a possibility of a handball? The defender blocking the shot, but nothing's been given anyway, and the game is moving on.
I'm just looking at the corner stats around here. So for Evan, I believe it was Evan. Yeah, Evan's comment. I think when he said, is it pass? I think he meant maybe, is it possible? And in the Serie A game, we've had 8. So Sampdoria are 2-0 up and they're 8-0 corners down. So I think that could be a kick in the backside if you'd look for 9.5 corners there for your team to win 2-0 and not have had a single one and it cost you the bet. We've also just had another comment in on Facebook. Sampdoria 3, Spezia 0. So I'm not sure if that's a prediction or if that's your bet, or else I'm just behind schedule here, but I still see it as 2-0. So let us know if you've backed that.
Unfortunately, our Arabic isn't up to date, so we can't read out the name, but make sure to give, that's on Facebook, so make sure to give our Facebook page a like. I suppose anybody watching on Twitter, so we can see we've got a couple of viewers on Twitter and a good few viewers on Facebook and YouTube. So if you're liking what you see there, guys, give us a like on the relevant, or subscribe on the relevant platform. It means a lot to us, and we have regular content out all the time, so you'll be kept entertained.
Yeah, good point, Gary. We do this every week, and we just love sharing this stuff with everybody, and hopefully, getting your feedback and getting your bets and our bets and doing it all together. So, likes and subscriptions and follows and all that really make a huge difference to us here. So we really appreciate that. Your Guimarães, or however you say that team / they had a good chance there. I'm not sure if you're watching it, but keeper saved it in the end. It wasn't a good chance. It was a good shot from not really much of a chance.
Yeah, and it's one that the keeper could easily have parried that, and there was one or I think even 2 other attackers coming in on the ball. So if he hadn't held on to it, it was probably a goal as well. 60 minutes. I'd be hoping for a goal in the next 10 minutes anyway, given that we need 2. But there's certainly been enough chances to justify the bet so far and to keep the hope alive that it'll come in.
Yeah, exactly. While the games have a bit of time left, does it make sense to do one of the cheat sheets, Gary?
Yeah. I think
for yours. So we'll jump over to this. Is a new segment that we've brought in the last couple of weeks. We're just testing it out, really. So again, any feedback you have on it, we'd love to hear it. We'd love to know your thoughts. But it's a kind of a betting preview of the big games over the weekend. So the first stat attack we have this week is in Ligue 1 in France, not Ligue 1, and Olympique Marseille against PSG. Gary, what are your thoughts on this? You've done a lot of research on it.
Yeah, so kind of reference. So for anybody who was watching earlier on in the show, I referenced that my thinking was pretty much along the same lines as our expert Dermot's thinking. So this looks to be a game that's going to have lots and lots of goals. A derby game. So a few storylines running through here. One is that Kylian Mbappe can equal Ibrahimovic's record. So Ibrahimovic holds the record for goals scored in this fixture of 7, I think it is. And Mbappe can kind of match that this weekend. In terms of the squad, Marseille are coming in this full strength in decent form. There has been a lot of kind of end-to-end games in their matches this season. They kind of had a less entertaining game in midweek against Lazio in the Europa League. So I think the players might have had one eye on this fixture. Obviously, PSG coming to town. So it's first versus third in the league. There's 10 points separating the teams. And as you can see on screen, we have the last 8 games in terms of the form table. So Marseille started the season fairly well, but I've kind of tapered off recently, a couple of losses and a draw in there. So not coming in on top form, but a player who is coming in on top form is Dimitri Payet. So he scored 5 goals already this season. I think 2 of them have been braces. He's just been like unbelievable. I know Dermo gives him a name check in his article as well. So this just looks to have goals written all over it. I would be like you, Liam. I know we spoke about this kind of a couple of times in the show, particularly when Enzo on this Serie A has been putting 3.5 goals in. We've kind of said it's a lot to ask in games, and
it's a high line.
Yeah, sometimes you can shy away from it, but this is one where I'd be looking at going, this is going to be goals written all over it. Sunday night, 7:45 UK time. It's definitely a game. Have the NFL on one screen and have this on the other. That's my plan anyway. I think it's going to be good. The other thing, just obviously we've got the players on screen there. We picked out a player for each team, and we do that in the stat attack. And I mentioned the form of Payet. Mbappe has been in like really good form recently as well. I think he scored in his last 3 games for club and country. But the big kind of talking point was, I don't know whether you saw his penalty in the Champions League during the week where so he won a penalty in the second half and gave Messi the kind of responsibility, and Messi did his Panenka and put PSG ahead. But then they won another one in the last minute and he took it, and he nearly hit the moon with it. It was that high over the bar, so it'll be interesting to see, obviously building up confidence and scoring in his last 3 games, as I said, for club and country in all competitions. Would that penalty miss have an impact on his confidence going into the game?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know if it'll have it. Like, I mean, those guys, I don't think they have the same confidence issues as, you're more down to earth players and people. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. I do agree with you about the goals. I mean, this game historically is a goal fest anyway. It's, it's a card fest as well. It's really feisty. And the way these 2 teams are lining up, I don't like over 3.5. I won't back it. Maybe over 2.5 and both teams to score. That Bet365 market I might take. But yeah, I mean, it's just there's goals everywhere in both of those teams. What do you make of Payet, Gary? Watching him, he was a big fan. You're a big fan of his when he was playing in England.
Yeah. So like big fan. I'm still a big fan of him now. Obviously, the way he left West Ham wasn't the greatest, but like he was an unbelievable player for West Ham in whatever the season half or 2.5 seasons he was there. Like scored some unbelievable goals. And some of the things he was able to do on the pitch have been unreal. He's kind of kept that going with Marseille. In his first season, I can't, with COVID and things like that, I've kind of lost track of time. But for his first maybe a season or 2 with Marseille, he's kind of turned into a little bit of a tubster. And and like
Have you
put on a
seen
bit of weight.
Nasri recently?
Yeah, yes,
Oh,
like Nasri. I think he
uh,
settled in, and obviously lifestyle south of France. I actually follow him on Instagram, and he's always posting pictures of his breakfast and stuff. But this season, he seems to have turned up really, really lean and really, really fit.
Right.
Must have did like an awfully good program during the summer. It wouldn't surprise me if he's looking at the World Cup next year and being like, this is my last chance to get into the French squad, and he just gave it one last burst, and that's why he started the season so well. And obviously, he had that great Euros again, probably Euro 2016 or 28, 2016 probably. When he was with West Ham, he kind of set it alight. So I think that he probably has the World Cup as his kind of goal for the season. He slimmed down. So he banged in 5 goals in 7 games he's played this season. 2 of them have been braces. I haven't got his assist stats. I didn't look those up. But I think Dermo called out that he might have 2 or 3 assists. So yeah, he's definitely kind of the Marseille star man, and he's a player I always love to cheer for. So I'll be looking out to see what he is for 2 shots on target. I assume you might get a decent price. I was hoping it'd be priced up before the show, but it wasn't priced up on Betfair before the show. So I'll have a look and see what he is for shots on target, and I'll include that in kind of a bet builder with the over 3.5 goals.
As far as Dermo said, it's 5 goals and 4 assists in his 6 games so far.
Was a 4 assist, yeah. I knew there was a couple. Yeah, like he started the season kind of on fire. So, it's he's definitely a player to look out for. As I said, we're not really that anybody's following football. We're not telling them anything new. But you have to celebrate these players while they're there. Because at West Ham, seeing him live every week, this is a pleasure. So, I've kind of gotten over the bitterness of how he left, and I'll still cheer him on.
Yeah, it was a strange departure, all right, but yeah,
I think there was in the background there with like
West Ham seem to manage to find players who have troublesome agents or background staff, because they seem to get these problems that are not really necessarily coming from the player, but like Arnautovic comes to mind as well. It just seems to be a lot of shenanigans. But it's funny you say about the World Cup and the players playing for that. I saw a list recently of the players who this is going to be their last World Cup. It's like a who's who of our generation of players.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big one. But just looking at your bet. Go ahead.
Sorry, just a stat for anybody having a bet in that game. Like in Marseille's goals conceded, 64% of the goals they conceded this season have been in the first half. So if you fancy PSG, and obviously PSG will probably be a short price. Again, I don't have the price offhand, but I assume they're going to be 1 to 2 probably.
I think they're even tighter than that. I'm not sure exactly, but I
PSG to be leading at halftime, or a PSG halftime full time, based on that stat that they're kind of slow starters. Marseille would be a decent bet. And if you're feeling really adventurous, maybe Marseille to win from behind. I'm sure you'd probably get 30 or 40 to 1 on Marseille to win from behind. So it might be something to have, a small wager on. I wouldn't be going mad on it, but if you do fancy Marseille and a bit of interest, it's an angle.
This year 8 to 13, by the way, just so you know, and half time they're evens to be winning at half time. Just let you know. We'll have pulled one back, by the way. Probably too little, too late now for anyone.
I didn't want to interrupt the flow of conversation, but it's actually a really, really good goal. I don't know the player Ramsey. He looks like kind of a product of the youth academy. Came on, ball. It's a bit of a scramble around the 18-yard box. He kind of ran onto it and just curled into the top corner from bang on the 18-yard line. And Ollie Watkins actually had a chance there a second ago. If I had gone in and gone 3-2, it would have been, squeaky bum time for Arsenal with 7 minutes to go. But from a Gooner's perspective, they'll be happy that it went wide.
about as uncomfortable as a
I don't know if you saw as well, Spezia scored with pretty much the last kick of the game in that Serie A game.
I saw it come up all right, yeah.
Finished
So that
2-1.
actually came in.
That landed your leg of the bet, did it, Slats?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I think congratulations. Myself and Liam probably owe you a drink. We both had losers in the bet, so you're the only one to get the winner this week.
Yeah, it was pretty late for it to come in now, in fairness, and it was the tightest odds of the three bets we went for. But yeah, still nice to get one of them in anyway.
Yeah, certainly helps.
Guimarães just hit the crossbar from a shot.
I'm watching this game, and it's ridiculous that they're still 0-0.
It's mad, isn't it?
Although it's 18 minutes left. I'm starting to feel the second goal could be a problem.
Yeah, it is getting a bit tight now. 70 minutes. I do kind of start giving up on a bet like that, needing 2 goals in the last 20 when there hasn't been any so far.
Yeah,
now it could still happen, and it is that sort of thing. If they do get one, it could open it up. But yeah, nothing so far. Another shot on target, but it was never going to beat the keeper.
No. I agree with that. Just looking at so there's a bit of action there. I didn't want to move to the second cheat sheet while this is going on and distract myself. But I'm going to leave the Portuguese game to you, Slats. And so that was what do they call that game in France, Gary? Le Classique, I think it is. Is it that head?
I think so. Yeah, I looked it up earlier on, but I actually can't remember, to be honest. So
can't remember. Yeah. So the second one, Oh yeah, so the second one we're looking at, the second cheat sheet or stat attack we're doing is in the Derby d'Italia. So the Inter Milan against Juventus. So that's a Sunday night, and kind of a strange game. This one, Juventus awful last season and awful at the start of this season, but they're on a great run now. And since losing to Napoli back in September, I think it was, they're now 1 draw and 4 wins, and I think in all competitions it's maybe 6 wins on the bounce. And I think if they win this, it's their longest winning streak in about 2.5 years. So really, really good. Inter, the other way around, they started the season in electric form, but then they kind of imploded against Lazio last week. It was 3-1, and that's their first loss in 2 months. So really, really strange there. So the form kind of the reverse of each other. Juve, as much as they haven't been winning a huge amount of games, they haven't really been losing either. So they lost to Napoli, and I think they lost to Empoli as well earlier in the season. There are only 2 defeats. Personally, I think, and Enzo has the same opinion, he's got a tip on the side for this game as well. Juventus looked to have turned the corner. Allegri came back this summer. Obviously took a bit of while to undo the damage that Pirlo did last season. And a lot of 1-0s for Juventus. They won 1-0 midweek in the Champions League away to Zenit. I think their 2 previous Serie A results were 1-0. They just look back to their old grind out the wins and kind of suffocate the opponent. So with that in mind, it's kind of strange that you look at their goal stats. 100% of Inter's goals of games have gone over 1.5 and 100% have gone over 2.5. And I think it's about 2/3 have gone over 3.5. Juve obviously a lot lower, but as well, I wouldn't put too much heat into the Juve ones because they were conceding a lot earlier in the season. You look at some of their results against the lower teams in the league. They beat Spezia 3-2. They beat Sampdoria 3-2. They drew 2-2 with Udinese. I mean, those results don't really kind of have a huge amount of weight now that they've gotten back to their clean sheet. So in terms of betting, it's kind of a tricky one to look at. Inter, like I said, score a lot, concede a lot. But I don't know if I'd be putting too much weight on that considering the way Juve have gone this season. For me, Juve is probably the straight win is the bet here. They're 11-10, and I think that they're probably too good. I know Enzo's gone a slightly different angle on the side. I think he's gone for the juice of the draw. But for me, I think Inter, they're not the most mature team. You look at them, I mean, they lost to Sheriff midweek in the Champions League, and you look at some of their games, you see a team with a lot of 3-2s and those kind of results, and they lost 3-1. We said the Lazio, their win before that, but they conceded in, I think, 7 consecutive league games. I think if you concede to Juve, it's a very, very tough thing to come back and win, considering Juve don't really concede at the minute. So yeah, I'm leaning towards the away win there. For me, the last time we looked at Juve, that the main man was Manuel Locatelli, and I think he's still their main guy there. I mean, if you can say anyone in that Juve team is the main man. But their last 10 goals have been scored by 9 different players, and he's the only one to get more than one of those. He got 2. 2 goals. He's joint leading scorer for Juve, which kind of shows you where they're at this season. I think if Juve get a stranglehold on the game and Locatelli gets a bit of freedom to kind of get in around the box, I'd actually back him for shots. Like you said, Gary, with your game, he's not priced up yet, so I can't really give any insight. But either to score a goal or to have a couple of shots on target, he'd probably be my look there. For Inter, Dzeko is the main man. He kind of arrived under the radar a bit. I think all the focus was on Lukaku moving to Chelsea, but he scored twice as many goals as Lukaku has already this season. 6 goals in 8 league games. I think Lukaku has maybe 2 goals, maybe 3 goals. So he's more than filled the hole that Lukaku left behind. He's really playing well. So if Inter are going to do anything, Dzeko's the guy there. So maybe Dzeko scores and they finish 1-1, but I think I'm going to take another tight Juventus win and back him for just a straight win at 11-10.
Yeah, it's hard to argue what you're saying there. I'll be like, I was kind of struck by the recent form of Juventus. Like they just seem to be hitting form and to be the price they are. And another one, like anybody who's watched our stream for any sort of period of time will know that corners bets are a favorite of mine. And to me, the fact that both of them average over 10.5 corners is just love hearts in the eyes territory. So I looked it up there, and like for over 2.5 goals, a Juventus win and over 10.5 corners, it's around 9-1.
That's a big price.
So I'd be waiting for I really like Locatelli, and he kind of became a favorite of mine during the Euros. I know he only kind of got a couple of the cameo appearances here and there. He played a few of the lesser games, but he's a player that I really like, and he kind of shoots on sight. So I will look to see what they price him up as in the shots on target market, and probably add that into a bet builder. But 10-1 for the Juventus, over 2.5 goals in the match and over 10.5 corners seems to me to be fairly good. Especially
in your Locatelli bet, right? So I've been watching a lot of Juve lately, and obviously I'm the same as you, a big fan of Locatelli since the Euros. And Allegri seems to switch them between like 4-4-2 and 4-3-3, and I hate to get into that kind of type of FIFA talk about games, but when he plays with an extra midfielder, he's always up around the box, taking shots, getting in the action. And when he's playing with just 2 midfielders, when it's just like a 4-3-3, he doesn't go anywhere near the goal. So he's obviously an intelligent enough player that he can adapt, but it's day and night. So for me, I'm kind of curious how they line up. And it's not as straightforward, when they're playing a tough team, they play with the extra midfielder. Like, I don't really see the pattern in what Allegri's doing. I mean, Allegri's one of my favorite coaches, so you accept what he does. But I'd wait to see if there's 4 midfielders in that team, then I'd lump on Locatelli to get involved around the goal. If there's just 3, I'd probably wait and see. And maybe if another midfielder comes on, they change it throughout the game, and then it's an in-play bet. But I'd wait and see that lineup, because it seems to be a huge difference in how he plays depending on who's in that squad.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I said, I might even do 2 separate bets. One, a conservative 9-1 shot, and then add Locatelli in the shots on target market. But I was surprised with the over 2.5 goals is priced up at 4-5, and I was expecting that to be closer to 4-9 than 4-5. Given if you look at Inter's scoring stats alone, as you have them on screen there, both teams score 88% of the games. 100% of their games have been over 2.5 goals. I think their games are averaging something like 4 goals a game.
Crazy.
On the Inter stats alone. Now, obviously, as you said earlier in the season, Juventus had kind of a couple of 1-0 victories and things like that probably pulled their stats down a little bit. But it has the potential to turn into a bit of a goal fest. And I think it could be, it's either going to be a 0-0 or a 4-3, that way. So the fact that it's 4-5, I think that's a super price for over 2.5 goals based on the stats.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I mean, we've seen Juve can score when they need to. I mean, that's the way they always used to be. Now, earlier this season, they needed to score a lot because they were conceding quite a bit. So, I mean, if Inter do hit the target, if Inter do get on the score sheet, well, then, I could see it opening up and becoming 2-1, or, even getting caught out and 2-1 the other way, whatever it might be. But, yeah, I think if Inter score, I think that over 2.5 is almost guaranteed. That's the prediction for that one. while we were talking, Slats, I could see you biting your lip a bit there. There was something in your game.
Yeah, well, Guimarães went up 1-0, so they're still leading 1-0. 10 minutes to go. So obviously for our bet, we need a second goal, and given that we need Guimarães to win, we need them to be the ones scoring that second goal. But yeah, I mean it's one step there. They've had a few shots since then, and Marítimo made a substitution after the goal, which I'm guessing they took off a defensive player. I'm guessing they brought on an attacking player. I don't know their team well enough. They brought on 2 players just straight after the goal. So, they're obviously pushing on for it themselves. And ideally, that'll give Guimarães a chance to get a second on the counter attack. It doesn't really matter to the bet if Marítimo do get one back here. It could actually be a good thing because it would get Guimarães, pushing again for a winner.
Have to score one way or the other for us.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't really mind Marítimo scoring, but we need a second from Guimarães in the last 10 minutes. They've had 26 shots with 10 on target. So they've, they could have had more than 2 already, but hopefully they can sneak one before the end.
It's painful when the shots are like that and there's not the goals to back it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I suppose a lot of those shots did come in the first half, which gave the justification to put the bet on. But yeah, they've had, hitting the crossbar there in the second half definitely deserved to be a goal. The keeper was beaten by about a yard, so there was plenty of room for it to get into the goal without it coming off the crossbar.
Yeah. Well, while we're letting the clock run down in this one, Gary, what did you make of you were at the West Ham Genk game yesterday, in fact?
Yeah, so I mean, West Ham has been far superior to teams in the group. I think there is a gulf in class there, but there were a couple of Genk players that stood out, and wouldn't be surprised if West Ham, after playing against them, sometimes you play against these teams in Europe, and you see players and you say, okay, we'll try and poach them. 2 players in particular, I haven't got their names, but they had a nippy right winger, and a nippy centre midfielder that, the left winger is a blondie lad. I should have actually looked up his name before we came on, but he was really good. I think he was number 7 maybe. He was number 7 for them, but he played really, really well. I was impressed with him. And then they've got a 6'8" striker as well that was just a handful. So I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham went for either the right winger or the striker in the transfer window in January. But overall, there's just a gulf in class between the teams. It was mad because there was a goal in the first half for Genk that was disallowed for offside, and that could have turned kind of the atmosphere and the tide of the game. And then there was also a 2-footed challenge from Manuel Lanzini that he did a 2-footer, but he didn't land anywhere near a man. The guy took a step away from him, and Lanzini just landed on the ground. But again, if he had made any contact with the man, or even if he had got the ball, I think the ref would have sent him off straight away because it was a 2-footer. But the fact he just landed nowhere near anything, it kind of went unnoticed. But the lads I was sitting around on the ground, we all kind of looked at each other and was like, was that a 2-footer? So those kind of things at the start of the game, they were both in the first half hour, could have put a negative spin on things or changed the game. But the more West Ham grew into the game, the more they were going to win it. And then it wasn't surprising that Genk conceded from corners. So in all competitions this season before last night, they conceded 17 goals from corners. And now it's 19 after the West Ham game. So it's actually a stat that I'm going to look at the next time, because obviously Genk might be playing on a Friday night when we're doing the live show. So I'll be looking for centre halves to get shots on target or to score against them, because that's an incredible stat. Now I think they started the season early in kind of the early qualifying rounds in Europe, but still, it's an
more than most teams would do in a season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they still have a good chance to qualify from that group because everyone in that is kind of beating everyone else. So
I think West Ham makes West Ham officially through, and 3 points makes them officially top the group. So it's all to play for. The other teams are all on 3 points, so it's all to play for amongst those.
Yeah.
Genk do have a bad goal difference. I think they might be -5 or 6 on goal difference, which they'll need to improve on. But overall it was good. I think the European games this week, the ones that I've saw, have been really decent. Like the Atletico Liverpool game was obviously really exciting. I think Liverpool got fairly lucky there.
Oh, big time.
I think the fact that the ref gave the first penalty, how he overturned the second penalty, because they were near, like,
they were almost carbon copies
as a push, but it was both of them were shoulders into the back. One of them was a bit more aggressive, but like you can't overturn that decision after it's been given. And then obviously Man United fought back against Atalanta in another exciting game as well. So it was an exciting week in the European action.
Yeah. It was very enjoyable, all right. I was commenting here from 2 comments, actually. So we've got Dermot's commenting that LB will be back in over 3.5 on the 4th of December because the match will say he was 2. I think that's going to be the United Arsenal game, if my memory of the calendar is correct. So, I mean, I try to stay away from over 3.5s anyway, but yeah, it could be a goalie one, all right. And there's another comment in there, Gary. I might give this to you with your fluent French.
I'm going to have a go at it. I think, yes, and I can speak French, yes, so apologies if it's wrong, but I think he's saying that Lyon are the number 1 team in the Europa League, which is a good point. They were actually, I had them in a bet last night, and they were 2-0 down. I think they're playing Sparta Prague. They were 2-0 down. And I was like, that bet is written off. And then they ended up winning 4-3 in the end and coming back. So, yeah, I think Lyon and West Ham have probably been the best performers so far in the Europa League. But it's still a long way to go. But, yeah, wouldn't disagree with you, yes.
Do you think West Ham will go far in the Europa League, Gary?
They're going to be a dangerous team for anybody to face. I think they have to come up against a really, really technical team like a Napoli or something like that. They might struggle. I'd fancy them against some other, the other teams. I can see them getting to quarters, maybe semis, and then maybe. The thing about West Ham is they haven't had a really bad game in a while. So they're probably due it. So it just
hopefully it comes when the group is wrapped up and not in
exactly.
They're favourites, you know that, for the Europa League.
I know, and they're I think they're favourites for a reason because, if you're a West Ham player, it's the competition you want to win this season. You're not going to win the Premier League. You know the top 4 is unlikely. It's a battle to get back into Europe. I think they will finish kind of top 6, 7, but it's going to be a battle for them. They've got Man City in the League Cup during the week, so you could potentially be going out of that. So, all their energy should be focused on this competition, in my mind. And yeah, I think they have the potential to.
I don't know. Obviously the favoritism is because other teams have dropped points, so the fact that they're effectively guaranteed progression helps it. But if you had a quarterfinal against Lyon, maybe even Leicester, Napoli, Lazio, I don't know if I'd put West Ham as favourites against any of those teams. But they're favourites anyway.
I think a fully strength West Ham will
get in.
Oh, what's this? Go on.
Sorry to interrupt you there. Marítimo came back and equalised 1-1.
Bit hard to hear, lads.
Sorry, Marítimo came back and equalised there 1-1, and now it's just gone into injury time. Guimarães kicked off, ran the ball up the pitch and scored almost straight away, first attack after kicking off again. So that's gone 2-1.
I've just flicked it on and I can see the crowd going bananas here. So
the crowd has been class, in fairness. I don't know how long they've been going back to games in Portugal, but they've seemed well up for this game certainly since the second half when I was tuning in.
They've always been good fans, the Portuguese. I wouldn't say it's COVID return related. I'm watching the replay here. That was a great pass down the wing.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, and then just the keeper just
God.
carrying that out fell in.
I'd say there was like the keeper had 5 defenders in the 6-yard box, and none of them managed to get the ball. Oh wow, I am delighted with that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I'd nearly look at cashing out. I probably won't get a chance to cash out, but yeah, just that Marítimo have actually looked pretty decent. You know, when they were behind, they were having a good go of it, and they kind of deserved their equaliser. So I'd be a bit worried about what they could manage to pull off now in the last.
Are they getting VAR reviewed here?
Or no, I don't think so.
Still suspended.
No, they've kicked off again.
That excitement has completely changed the buzz there for a second, but yeah. So let's go back to hypothetical games. In the
background.
Yeah. That's a great win for you, Slats, to get it, like to call it. And you actually said it'd be better if Marítimo scored, even, or potentially better, because
yeah, it really worked out that way. Because I mean,
but that was nearly prophetic the way it worked out.
So you're actually becoming the in-play master, like, you know, that's the.
I've had a few,
probably 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. You've got a good in-play bed up.
Yeah, still
PK vacated his throne last season, and Slats is.
I was just going to say, I still feel inspired by PK and his back in the home fave when they've dominated a match but haven't managed to get ahead.
So you're saying it's just fave back, but with a slightly different take on it.
Well, it's not just because it's your in-play stats.
Don't be giving away your secrets, man.
No, I mean the numbers you're getting are very, very impressive. I only went joking. But cash out is still suspended here. I presume that's because I have a chance of winning, so they don't want to give you the cash out.
Yeah, exactly. You can only cash out for a loss.
Oh God,
I also haven't seen any indication of how much injury time is going to be played, which is kind of hard for them to tell because there was one goal in the 90th minute when I guess they almost have the injury time decided, and then there was another goal, you know, about a minute later. So,
but it's 4 is up on the clock anyway.
Oh, sorry, it's 4 minutes, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean it's 20 seconds left, and it's going to be 4, but they surely will add on a bit extra for the injury time goal.
Guimarães, are they like a big team in Portugal? Are they going to get like the referees' help? It's like, you know, instantly blow it up, or is it?
I don't know if there's I mean, I guess that level of bias probably exists in every league in the world, or you know, certainly an element of
nature.
It. Yeah. I mean, they're not like they're not up around the top of the table. I think they're 7th. You know, 7th on the table. You wouldn't think would buy you that much sway from the referee. Marítimo 13th. Let me just hop in and see how they fared last season. I don't think they're one of the top sides. I mean, yeah, like if you know, Sporting Lisbon, Porto, Benfica have been dominating it for the last decade, pretty much 20 years maybe. And let's see.
Go it over to 4:20 or 4:30 even, and there's a free kick for Marítimo who are just going to hoof it forward.
I think it's full time now. It's
gone.
Brilliant.
That was a very questionable blowing it up there as well. We had it actually last week. I don't know if you saw in the group, Gary, our friend Nige was giving out about Crystal Palace, and they conceded late to Arsenal.
Yeah.
Like it was 5 minutes. There was 4 minutes added on, and it was gone like 95 and a bit. And there was a corner, and then it was like the third kind of play. I don't know. Like the ball never left the box, so I could see why it was let run. But if it was against my team, I'd be pretty unhappy. But that one there, he let them take the free kick. The ball just went up, it got into the other box, and he just blew the whistle. Like no one could have done anything with it. It was anyway. Take it. Delighted for you, lads.
Good picking, lads.
Yeah, you got on as well, did you? Or you did anyway? It'll be.
No, I missed it now.
I was on it.
Hopefully, a few others tailed.
Yeah, hopefully a few. So that was a 2-1 winner you called out, Slats. We had the 7-1 earlier, and we've had a few good wins tonight. So we're actually on a great run in the in-play betting. Oh no, Dermot says I completely misunderstood the game he was talking about. He's talking about Montpellier Clermont, which is that's the game in December that the stats will be telling us to go over 3.5, which makes a bit more sense now. But yeah, well, I follow everyone. So yourself, Dermot, Enzo, and and Savage, the 3 European experts on the side, and yours, Gary, actually the EFL. I follow all the bets that get put up there unless I sleep in and forget about them. So if you put it in the article, it will go into my betting account.
Per EFL is always forgotten about.
It goes out past my bedtime on a Friday. That's why I miss it. Actually, I really like to look at EFL this week, Gary. There's some good prices in there, so solid justification. So I've actually already backed the ACCA. None of them singly, but I did back the ACCA this week.
Yeah, I fancy it now again. I fancy my last couple, and as I kind of point out in the article, just been knocking on the door. So I do the singles and the ACCA every week, and if you're following that strategy, you're kind of grinding out a little bit of profit, but knocking on the door of a big win. So hopefully this 12-1, or sorry, 14-1, is it? 14-1 can land.
Yeah, no, absolutely
getting on that as well.
What I've started to do actually is I take a combination of all 4 of you, so Spain, Italy, France, and England, and I leave out certain markets that I don't like. I don't like -1, and I don't like over 3.5. So I'll leave those out, and I'll do like a 7-fold of all the other ones, which I'll be retiring from my day job if it ever lands. But
yeah. I did it last week actually. I just picked my own favorite from each of your picks and made my own ACCA out of that. But I think one of the legs let me down.
I might bet now tomorrow if Swindon doesn't win, then I'm done with like looking at stats and form and everything. Like, you know, they should be absolutely certain 7-5. Again, they're a team that I would make, 4-9 tomorrow at home against a team that aren't doing great, aren't good away. They should be absolute certainty. So if they don't win, I'll be good.
7-5 is huge for your level of confidence.
I know, but you look at like there isn't like there's a couple of injuries in each team, but they aren't really key players. Swindon are in 3rd, Bradford are in 13th. Swindon have been playing really well lately. They're unbeaten in their last 6. They beat Sutton in midweek, who are a decent side. The only negative about them is that they've been drawing too many games at home. So they've only won 1 game at home this season. I think they've drawn 4 and lost 1. So like that's the only negative is their home record. But when you look at Bradford's away record, they've only won, I think it's 1 game away from home this season. So I think they've only won 1 in their last 9 as well.
The last 11 in all competitions, yeah.
Yeah, so when you kind of add that up, it's just like, how can it be a 7-5 shot? But then I thought that last week again, like it was similar against Rochdale. Actually, last Saturday, I had Swindon in the bet against Rochdale, and that was 3rd versus 18th in the league, and it ended up being a 2-2 draw. So I said, the only doubt in my mind is that they've been fairly dodgy at home. But I can't let the price go because overall they're just a better team. And
this is something we said last week, like that dodgy at home. Like, is the dodgy at home because of the teams they've played against, and that it needs to kind of normalize between now and the end of the season? Like, I can't see a real reason, unless like a club there's a toxic atmosphere, why you'd be really worse at home than on the road. So I'm all over it anyway. It's a great price.
I don't get it. I don't think it's because of the teams they've played, because I said they played Rochdale last week and went 1-0 up against them. They went 1-0 up. I was kind of laughing. Like, I think they went 1-0 up after 20 minutes. I kind of laughed to myself and was like, oh, well, that was an easy win. And then all of a sudden they were 2-1 down and they equalized in the 90th minute, to make the bet look half respectable. But like I said, it is in the back of my mind that their home form was bad. But you might not back it at 4-6, but at 7-5, you have to back it in my mind.
Based on your both teams to score form, I'll definitely be getting on that Stevenage Leyton Orient bet as well.
Yeah, that looks an absolute certainty too. Like Stevenage, the only game they haven't scored at home this season was against Forest Green, and Forest Green are kind of ramping the league. And then like the other side of the bet there in the Leyton Orient, like the Leyton Orient are just doing really well this season. They're kind of draw merchants, but all of their games have been, or not all of them, but the vast majority of them have been score draws. So I think they've scored in every away game this season. So it has all the hallmarks of both teams to score. So yeah, confidence is rising after talking about it now. So I know it's going to happen, maybe 0 for 4, and I'll never be on this show again.
Yeah, it's mad. Like when you justify them the way you have done, especially this week's article, you're looking at them and you're like, right, like you said there, one of you mentioned 4-6. You wouldn't be surprised if they were 4-6, and then you see 7-5. You're like, right, has to be worth it, you know.
Definitely value there, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, look, I think we're at the end of the football segment here, guys. So thanks to everyone who's tuned in. We're going to stay on air, but we're going to cut to some American football now and discuss that and our circa millions picks between now and the end of the show. But if you do have any last minute questions, by all means, drop us a note in the comment. We'd love to, we answer every question that we see, and we love to chat to you guys. And, like we said a few times, follow, like, subscribe. We would be giving away the winning bet this week, although there actually wasn't a winning bet to share. Or there was a few winning bets, but it wasn't the one we were going to share. So it's a tough choice who it would have been, but nothing to transfer this week. So maybe before we do wrap up, any game particular, Gary, over the weekend you're looking forward to watching?
Well, I think it's obvious, isn't it? Swindon versus Bradford.
Yeah, Le Classique of the League Two.
yeah. I'm going to get the train to Swindon. No, actually, that game tomorrow will be the one I'll be focusing on, but the game of the weekend for me has to be the game in France. So Le Classique, Marseille, PSG, I think it'll be a really, really entertaining game.
Yeah, my heart says that I want to watch the Inter-Juve game. I'll probably watch both now, but that is much more potential to be not entertaining. I think the French one is definitely going to be a kind of rampant kind of game. So if I had to watch one, I'd watch that as well. But my money would be more so on the Italian one.
Are you not entertained?
Slats, you're out of luck this weekend because all your Dutch football is pretty much wrapped up already.
Yeah, with plenty of goals in it too. I'll be sticking to the rugby and maybe check out a bit of NBA. It's back this week as well. So
yeah,
NBA class is back. Yes, get in there.
Yeah, I think.
Just before we drop, my kind of French bet.
I was going to mention that.
A little bit of a comeback. So the over 2.5 is in. So it's a 2-1 to Angers, but there's only been 3 corners, so need the corners to pick up. But the fact that Saint-Étienne have to go for it, hopefully that will work. But it's not totally out of the woods yet.
No, not at all. And I mean, we've said so many times about corners. Corner headed out. You could get a flurry of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just brings it back into contention. Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer to be waiting on 5 corners than 2 goals.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, thanks a million, everybody, for watching us. It was a very enjoyable show tonight. Great games and great in-play picks from the guys, which is saved us because my pre-game bets didn't go very well. Mostly because the Crotona couldn't score, but really entertaining. We'll be back the same time next week, as always. We will be on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, same as this week. So make sure to subscribe, turn those notifications on. You'll see when we go live. And yeah, have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. We're not going to end the stream here. We're just going to put on a holding video, and we'll be back very shortly to discuss some other sports.
Next one.
welcome back to the SportsRunDown Betalong. We're actually not going to be doing any betting along here now. We're going to be looking at our Circa Millions picks for the weekend. So anyone who's with us for the first time, SportsRunDown, we're entered into the Circa Millions. So you pick 5 NFL teams against the spread every week, and you get to win a share of about $4.5 million, whoever has the best come the end of the season. We make our picks live on air here, so we discuss them in the order that you can see them on the screen. We'll make our picks and we'll submit them, or based on last week, we'll hopefully submit them. And that's how we do it. So we'll run through it. You can see there's a blank space there. PK was with us last week. He's not with us this week. So we're usually 3, but it'll be a little bit shorter tonight because there's only the 2 of us. So
we won't have PK rambling on.
No. PK is a great addition to the team. Very harsh there, Gary.
I'm messing.
I know. So the first game up is, well, actually last night, the first game I wanted to talk about. So this one to me was a pretty interesting game. The Broncos at the Browns, because the line just moved so much during the week. But in our private competition, I got them plus 3.5. But in the actual competition last night, they were in the Circa one, they were only plus 1.5, and it wouldn't have won. So I'm happy that I got them plus 3.5, but would have been a real kick in the backside if we'd taken them plus 1.5 after that horrific start.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns being so injury depleted, it was probably the call to go with the Broncos, but the game actually finished a lot closer than I think most people were expecting.
Yeah, I definitely think so. So bullet dodge there, I think, from my point of view, because I was definitely leaning Broncos. So we move on now. The first game up on Sunday is the Bengals at the Ravens. Lamar and company are 6.5-point favorites at home. The Bengals 4-2, but both of those losses have come by just 3 points. Very different schedules though between these two teams in terms of how difficult they've been. Baltimore an unlucky loss in overtime in week 1, and they're 5-0 since. 6.5 points at home, Gary. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it doesn't make my top 5, but I fancy the Ravens to cover here. I do like, obviously, the Bengals. I think we've discussed it over the last couple of weeks. I think they're a lot of people's second team that you cheer on, especially given their offense. But the Ravens are good at kind of shutting down the rush game. They'll make Burrow throw through the air. Has the ability to pick them apart, but I don't think he has kind of the offensive line to hold out and not get sacked multiple times or hurried multiple times. So I can see it being kind of close maybe in the first half, but then the Ravens pulling away in the second half. So I said it doesn't make my top 5. Actually, I had a nightmare trying to pick my top 5 this week because
nightmare is the word. It's absolutely awful this week.
Don't get me on the fantasy football. It's just been it's like I'm trying to run a hospital and not a fancy football team of that many people out with COVID and on injured reserve and everything else. So, but yeah, I think this week is a little bit of a nightmare. If you were heavy on the Ravens, I wouldn't mind putting them in.
My exact notes were lean Ravens. I'm okay if it goes in, is how I see it.
I'd be pretty much the same as that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they pull away from them. Actually, looking at their points differential, so it's just a rocket and upward graph for the Ravens. I think they're getting better and better every game. And that opening game, there was 2 fumbles, one to put it to overtime. This is when they were in Las Vegas, and then one in overtime to lose. They could have won that game very easily. They'd have been 6-0 at this stage, and I think your 6.5 would be a very different line. So
exactly, and that that's off the back of a not so certain preseason as well. So you can kind of forgive them that opening game loss because losing running back after running back after running back in preseason obviously wasn't ideal for them. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're both on the same side there, but not super hot on it either. All right, that's easy. Next game, Panthers travel to New York, take on the Giants, 3-point road favorites. Similar kind of statistical offenses here, both producing about 370 yards per game, but defensively the Giants are considerably worse. Kind of funny one here. The Panthers went 3-0 to open, and now they're 0-3. And personally, I think something is looking a little bit off there. I'm not sure what it is. And the Giants, very hard to know what to make of their results so far. So, Gary, what do you think? Giants picking up 3.5 points at home.
Yeah, like, I mean, as you said, there is something in the last couple of games. Obviously, Chris McCaffrey's gone. Kind of looking like he was coming back, and he's kind of gone off again. So that impact any team in the NFL. I just think the Giants are a bad team. They've got a good few injuries around the place. I'd be fairly strong on the Panthers this week. I think they'll turn it around. I think they're a better unit. They have a decent defense. I think they should win. They're in my top 5.
I'm exactly the same as the last game. I have lean Panthers. Okay, if it goes in, just the 3 losses that kind of put me off them. But I think, if you just look at this game in isolation, they're an awful lot better than the Giants. So if we're stuck for 5, or you're very hot on it, I'm happy for this to go in.
Yeah, so, I think the defense outside of the ball is going to be the key, and like, can you trust Daniel Jones to go through a game without having a brain fart and throwing a really handy interception? I wouldn't like to be putting money on that. And if you look at kind of what's a total defense, they're a top 5 total defense team. The Panthers. So I think they'll get a few turnovers and they'll win the game. 3 is I think it's actually a value spread. I can see them winning by 5 or 6. So.
Yeah, well, like, we can put that in. We'll mark it as green for now. Happy to put it in. I've no issue with it, but like I said, I was just so unconfident on all the lines this week that I didn't actually put it in. But yeah, happy for that. Looks like a good case there.
Yeah, and sorry, and before we move on to the next one, Dermot in the comments has actually pointed out a good point in that the Broncos last night bust Bino's bet builder. So had everything else come in, but that busted. So
for anyone who's not familiar, Bino's bet builder, Bino does a Monday and Thursday night football bet builder on the site for us, SportsRunDown.com. Bino of Irish NFL fame. He does that article up for us twice a week, and he was very close last night. Actually, that's a good point. When I missed that myself, that was what cost it. But I was actually really sticking with that because I actually backed 3 of the college football spreads last night. So I had SMU minus like something in the teens, and they absolutely blew Tulane away. And Arkansas State plus 18, and they lost by a single point. And then I had Florida Atlantic to blow Charlotte out of the water. I think they're like 6-point favorites, and they won by about 30. And all were in early, but I had the Broncos money line, and I didn't win anything.
I knew we wouldn't get through the whole NFL segment without you referencing the college football. So while you're on your boastful mood, do you want to have a boast about your, I don't know how to pronounce it, Appalachian State?
No, Appalachian State. Appalachian State. Yeah, that was a great one. That was Wednesday night, which probably why a few people might have missed the bet, but they were home underdogs to Coastal Carolina, 9-5. So we tipped them at the money line to win at 9-5 and plus 4.5, and they won straight up. So we got both of the wins to kickstart the betting week. I love midweek college football games because the home underdogs do so well. It's kind of like an open secret. Like, there's obviously certain games you can ignore, massive big teams, but usually you're kind of looking at a lot of middling teams play each other in the early week games. And Coastal Carolina, they went 12-0 last season. Nobody paid them any attention before that. They blew onto the scene. And then this year they're 6-0, but this year they have played nobody. Like, I think they have ranked the easiest, like 130 of 130 schools ranked schedule. So they've played nobody, beat the hell out of them, but not really impressive. But this is a kind of a funny game. Appalachian State would be kind of one of the big dogs in the Sun Belt, and they're really burning because Coastal Carolina have been taking all the glory the last 18 months. So this is a huge game for Appalachian State at home under lights midweek against Coastal Carolina, who've been kind of coasting, excuse the term. So yeah, it was a great win, 9-5 money line, and got the plus 4.5, 10-11 straight up. So yeah, we got both of those. A few more ones this week. Not usually we go with the kind of the bigger underdogs. We try to find teams that have got big spreads against them. But this week there's not that many that I like. Like a couple of them, Purdue plus 3, Boston College plus 6, and then a couple of teams that are actually, I think they'll cover the spread. Wake Forest, Notre Dame, and North Carolina State are all between a field goal and a touchdown favorites, and I think they'll all cover those pretty well. So slightly different look to the article this week because it's not big rank underdogs, but great start to the college football betting on Wednesday night.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, so Dermot is back in the comments. He's talking about the Ravens game. So you think 7 is a lovely line, or 6.5 is a lovely line, 7 is a fade. Yeah, so I presume based on that, Dermot, that you're saying that the 7 has gone. That's what the market has gone to since. But with the circle lines,
I think he's saying that. So Joe, if it gets to 7, you start kind of doubting it. He thinks they'll win by a touchdown, basically. So 7 would be a push. So I think that's
anyway with 6.5. So I'm going to put a note there that Dermot's on board with that one as well. Another vote for that game. So the next one we have up is the Washington football team travel to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Packers 8-point favorites at home. Despite, well, maybe to my eyes, not really blowing anybody away. The Packers are still 5-1 against the spread. Washington 1-5 against the spread, and they have the worst points adjusted record. So how badly they lose compared to what they were expected to lose by. So this 8 points, Gary, is it an overreaction to how good the Packers have been, or is it about right?
I think it's about right. I think, again, going to my head, will the Packers cover? Yeah, I can see them winning by 10 or more. So if you had been strong on this, I was going to say, yeah, we put it in. But again, I think we can find 5 stronger than it personally. I don't really like these whole kind of 2-score games, but I think this week we're going to have to put probably one of them in. I don't know, when we get later in the slate, you're going to see
monsters,
3 and 4 or 5-score games potentially. So like our Packers should win. I wouldn't be mad about it, but I have no problem with it going in.
Washington are kind of a sticky team in my mind. That they could just, they catch Green Bay not in the right mood, and it just ends up being that they win, but not by 8. I think that's beyond a touchdown would mean that if it's not going their way early, we're waiting a long time. Or they're 2 touchdowns ahead, and then who knows what happens, and then Washington scores some sort of garbage time thing. I don't like it either. I have written down here lean Packers, but I didn't even say I'm okay if it goes in. I think the Packers probably do cover, but 8 is not nice. And with Washington so bad against the spread and Green Bay so good against it, you'd think that the line is probably going to start moving a bit too far there. So yeah, you don't seem too hot on it, neither am I. So we will leave that one where it is and move along.
Yeah, I think for me it's a maybe, John.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get stuck. Do you know what I mean? We're agreed on everything so far. So I think if we were stuck, it could go in. But at the moment, it's probably a leave it alone. Cool. The next game up, this is going to be a belter to watch. The Chiefs travel to Tennessee to take on the Titans. 4.5-point road favorites, Kansas here. The Titans are 4-2. Very hard to know what to make of the Titans. I mean, they beat the Bills and lost to the Jets. So make of that what you will. Kansas 3-3, but the 3 losses have come against the Bills, the Chargers, and the Ravens. So I mean, pretty reasonable losses at the same side. At the same time, what do you make of this one, Gary? 4.5 points. Is that a bit too much, or where do you stand on this?
I mean, I actually don't know where to flip the coin. I think at 4.5 points, I think it's a very good spread. It's a very good game. I would probably be siding with the Titans. I think coming off of last week's win against the Bills, what was a 4th and 1, 4th and 2 stop against Allen late in the game. Like that has to give the defense a boost. You've got Henry hitting form. Then you look at the Chiefs, they can't really stop anything on defense. And their injuries are kind of piling up. You've got Edwards-Helaire on injured reserve. Tyreek Hill is questionable. There's a couple of others out there that are questionable as well. So I would be siding towards the Titans here. Again, a lot of my picks this week are like I'm 55-45 on it. There's not many I'm really strong on. So again, if you have one that you or a view on this,
this is a pick for me. I have a pick on the Titans here. I put it in. I think I actually think the Titans win this game, if I'm going to be honest. But I think if Kansas win, I don't think they cover 4.5. I think they win by 2 or 3 points.
Probably go similar to the Bills game. It'll probably go down to the wire there. Like, there'll be a 1-score game most of the way through it. Like,
yeah, exactly. And I just think, like you said, the way the game went last week, there'll be a lot of belief in Tennessee. I think they're being at home. I think if they just keep it close, and I think they will keep it close because, like you said, the Chiefs can't really stop anybody scoring. I think that 4.5 is going to be a nice cushion. So I'm happy. I'll put that in as one of my picks. So you've got a lean there, and you're happy to leave it in. So I think that's another one that we're going with. Right, let's make a mark of that. Next game up here, from an absolute must-watch to probably I don't really want to watch, is the Falcons at the Dolphins. Dolphins 2.5-point home underdogs here. Falcons have just 2 wins for the season. The Dolphins have 1. The Dolphins only win New England week 1, and in hindsight, that was a very scrappy win. Doesn't really tell us much about them. Atlanta's 2 wins have come against the Jets and the Giants. So, I mean, for me, this game just sort of stinks. But what are your thoughts on this, Gary?
I never thought I'd say this. I think I said at the start of the season that I just don't back in Falcons games because their team I just can't get right. But I actually really fancy them here. I think that everything is kind of stacked up in their favor coming in off a bye week. Like the Dolphins lost late on against the Jags last week. They kind of, I don't know, like I was at that game. I don't know how they managed to let the Jags get into field goal range and stuff. I think they were set to go to overtime, and next thing it was just bang, bang, and the game was over. I think they'll kind of be shocked by that. There's obviously talk about bringing in Deshaun Watson. A lot of other stories going around about the Dolphins, and there seems to be kind of a cloud over the franchise. Because if you look at, before last year, there was just a lot of stories coming out all the time around the Dolphins. And then last year they kind of got it together and made a decent run of it. And now this year it just seems to have kind of capitulated back into, it's kind of a soap opera. So yeah, like the Falcons are a dodgy team of mine. I never really read them right, but I think they have enough to trouble the Dolphins on offense. You've got your Kadora Pattersons, you've got the Kyle Pitts, etc. They'll be able to trouble the defense of the Dolphins, and they should outscore them. So yeah, I think take the 2.5 points, minus 2.5 points, and run with it.
At a pick?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Okay, I have lean Falcons. That's all I wrote there. So if you've picked it and I'm leaning it, then it's looking like it's going to go in the list.
I actually think. Oh no, it's not my last. It was my second preference in Last Man Standing. And there's Dermot at the kind of. Sure, he might be a little bit behind, but Dermot is saying that the Giants' injury list against the Browns is nearly worse than the Browns. So he's listed off a number of players that are out there. Yeah, so that kind of reinforces the Panthers' point we were making of they're probably a decent bet this week.
We'll mark Dermot down as an additional vote on that pick as well. So yeah, we're all seeming to line up here pretty well so far. No disagreement yet, so it could be due a few now down the line. So the next game up,
a comment on Facebook as well, based on me not. It's probably a bad choice of phrase to make when I said I don't quite know how the Dolphins let the Falcons in, let the Jags in last week. So Richard Michaels has said all the beers Nolan. That's why you don't know how they managed it. So might have had a little excess to drink at the NFL on Saturday, but at least I wasn't throwing cups.
Oh, controversial comment there. So yeah, I'd like to hear more about these cup throws.
No, in fairness, nobody in our group was, but the cup throwing was a little bit of a sour point at the game on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know how that took off as a thing that people do, but anyway. Right, the next game up, the Jets at the Patriots. awful the Jets are, slightly less awful are the Patriots. This is an interesting one. Jets are 0-3 on the road. The Patriots 0-4 at home. So something is going to have to give here. New England laying 7 points. What are your thoughts, Gary?
Well, my first thought is I'm sorry for everybody watching on screen. So I do up the visuals for this, and I have the Broncos down against the Patriots. So apologies for that. You can just pretend that's a Jet sign and not a big Bronco on the screen. It's like a Patriots record against the Jets is kind of second to none. Belichick will have like a lot of looks that he'd be throwing at Wilson. I keep going to call Wilson Zach Johnson. I keep getting mixed up with golfer. But with Wilson, so I could easily see the Patriots covering here. Would I back it? No. So it's just a leave alone game for me.
Didn't these two play in September?
Yeah, they played already this season. Yeah,
like they absolutely hammered them, like 20 points, something like that.
Yeah, but I think the Jets. But the Jets have got better since then. They've got a better on defense, and they're starting to put a little bit together on offense. So while I think you're probably right, but I don't think the Jets are quite as bad as they were, basically. Sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say, it's one of my picks. They don't need to be as bad as they were. Do you know what I mean? Even if they're twice or three times, if they score double or triple what they scored, they're still going to not be within 7. So this is one of my picks. I mean, you seem to lean that way, so we can circle back to it. But I think that it's going to be like you said, their record against the Patriots is so poor. We're nowhere near them 6 weeks ago or a month ago. Now it's away instead of being at home. I don't see how they cover here. So
we'll put it as a maybe, and we'll have a fight about it later. But I'm not too sure whether I fully like it or not. So yeah,
I flagged it as orange anyway, so we'll circle back if we don't hit the 5 elsewhere. Right, next game up. This is the start of a few whopper lines. The Detroit Lions travel to the Rams, and they are 15-point underdogs. So the Lions are 0-6, and the Rams are 5-1. I don't think the result is in any doubt here, but 15 is a lot of points. Gary, where do you stand on this one?
The result isn't in any, like the money line especially isn't in any doubt. 15 is a lot to be given away. Again, I think it's probably a leave alone. I can actually see, if I was to take one, I'd take the Lions. Obviously the big storyline in this game is the quarterback switch. You've got Goff and Stafford facing off against the different franchises that are all franchises. So just purely from that perspective, I can see like pride kicking in, Goff having kind of an exceptional game, bringing them within kind of 10 points, and going down kind of, a moral victory or a victory where he just gets kind of a pat on the back kind of thing. Everybody's like, oh, you did well. I don't think if quarterbacks can have any influence on the game, I don't think he will let it get to a blowout. Now, that said, like the Lions defense is that bad. Can they stop like Cooper Kupp and Stafford and Wilson?
I agree with you, but I've gone the other way. So I've got to lean Rams here. They've won by 15 or more twice already, and the Lions have lost by 15 or more twice already. They can definitely get blown away. I don't think it's their choice. I think if the Rams show up, they blow them out of the water, and I don't know.
Yeah, like I could be swayed to go around to that way, I think. And as I said, sometimes I like to bring in these fucking, I don't know what
motivational factors, like
or sentimental items, and that'll be the bit that'll be playing in the back of my mind. But as you said, if you look at it, black and white, hard cold facts, do the Lions have any chance in this game? They don't. So I'd be happy for it to go in, but I'd say, like, if you said to me now, put a gun to my head, which one would you choose? I'd probably choose the Lions based on just, I don't know.
It's a monster line. Like, it's more than 2 touchdowns. That's the thing. That's why I don't have it as a pick, because if it was 13, I'd probably pick it, or 12. I think there's a 12.5. We're going to come to soon. I'd probably take it at 12.5, but 15 is just, it's more than 2 touchdowns. It could, you could be sitting here in the middle of the third quarter thinking we're never going to get this, so.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's pretty big. Right, the next one, actually a nice small one here before we hit a couple of the big ones again. The Eagles go to Las Vegas, 3-point road underdogs. Philadelphia 2-4, but those 4 losses, if you look back at them, Tampa Bay, Kansas, the Cowboys, and the 49ers. So, pretty reasonable teams to lose to. The Raiders 4-2, but they lost to the Bears in overtime, and one of those wins came against Miami. So they lost to the Bears, and they beat Miami in overtime. So not exactly, not the richest 4-2 in the world. What do you think about this one, Gary? 3 points.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a close game. I think the Raiders just about cover. Kind of thought last week they could kind of fall apart with, the Gruden saga and things like that hanging over them, and the fact that they're able to, bounce back and kind of beat the Broncos fairly convincingly in the end. I think they can kick on to that. If it was in Philly, I'd probably be going the other way. I think it's going to be a 4 or 5 point game. I can see the Raiders just edging out.
Yeah, if that's a pick for you, we can put it in. I had this as a lean for the Raiders earlier in the week, and then Wednesday, Thursday, I was like, this is an absolute Raiders win. They're going to beat the hell out of them. And then I'm looking again now, kind of softened on it again. So I'm not really sure. I think you're right. It's going to be pretty close. 3 is, hopefully that. So
I do have it in my picks, but again, I do have it in my picks, but I could be convinced out of it. It's like, as we said at the start, a lot of these week you couldn't really be certain on. So, but yeah,
we'll flag it as orange again, and we'll circle back if we don't hit the 5. I think we're both on the same side here. Like you said, after they lost to Chicago, I thought, oh God, the Raiders are going to be showing up now, kind of like the Broncos were earlier in the season, but then they won again last weekend to show that they can still do it. I think that they're solid. I think 3 points at home is probably right, but like you said, it's a close game and could even be a push here. So, we'll flag it as orange and we'll move on. Another late game on Sunday is the Chicago Bears travel all the way down to Tampa Bay. 12.5 point favorites. The Buccaneers are here. It's an interesting one. The Bears have lost to the Rams, the Browns, and the Packers, so no real shame in that. They've won their other 3 games. The Buccaneers are 5-1, but those 5 wins, they're 1-4 against the spread. A lot of underwhelming wins for them, really, especially the Philadelphia, New England ones. Where do you go on this one, Gary? I think the result is not really in doubt, but I think the line is too high.
Yeah, no, I think I disagree with you there. I think you have to take the Bucs here. I think that if you look at their running game has been decimated, their quarterback's a rookie quarterback. Bucs defense is fairly decent, and then you look at the Bears defense. Normally, you've got the likes of Khalil Mack and things like that are staples there and kind of keep them in game. They've got a number of questionables on defense. So I am actually really strong on the Bucs this week.
Oh, this is my number 1 pick, was the Bears. So we're both probably not going to be going in for that reason. The Bucs have a lot of injuries. Gronkowski, Brown, Levante David, Sherman all out. I think that they're the better team. They're going to win. I don't think they're going to win by 12. I wouldn't even take them at 10 here. I just think that I don't know. I think they've been scraping by a couple of wins, and I don't see how they cover 12.5. So you don't sound like you're budging on that one, and I'm certainly not budging on it. So I think this is probably the first red one we've had in a while where we're sitting on opposite sides of the line.
Yeah, I do think this is going to be a "I told you so" by me, but
you said that a few times, and generally it hasn't happened. So.
We'll move on, but I do.
Yeah.
Dermot has just put in about the Raiders, about the bounce factor last week, and they got a big lift with a standing coach, but could they be a bit rudderless this week? I suppose that's a good point to make. Dermot, I would have probably expected it not to be a bounce factor last week because the players all seem to really like Gruden. So the fact that they kind of rallied and got the victory, I was surprised by that. I thought, you look at Derek Carr's kind of comments when he came out, and he was really, really supportive of Gruden. What was it? Like the man and don't like the actor, something like that was his phrase that he came out with. So I was expecting a below par performance last week, and for them to kind of go downward spiral for the season. But the fact they won, I think they'll be able to pull it out of the bag against the Eagles this week.
Yeah, a valid concern, but hopefully it doesn't happen that way. Next up is the late game, the biggest line of the week. So the Texans travel to Arizona and they're picking up 18.5 points here, an absolutely monster line. They've played 3 road games so far. They've lost by 10, 28, and 40, so it's not completely ridiculous. And the Cardinals have scored more than 30 points in 5 of their 6 games so far. So where do you go on this one, Gary? 18.5.
Like, it's a lot of points to be given away in the NFL. I probably would take the Carolina Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals, but it wouldn't be one that I'd be putting in my top 5 just because it's a lot of points. But again, if you put a gun to my head and said who wins, it's definitely like the Cardinals will definitely win on the money line, obviously. And could they win by 20? They probably could.
Yeah, I've got this one down. I've got lean Cardinals. Line is probably too high. I mean, this is actually one that for me that was a nice comparison to the Bears one. If you take the Bears are way better than the Texans, and I think the Cardinals are better than the Bucks. So when you compare those two lines together, I think it actually doesn't look too bad, the 18.5. But I actually say it's the other way around. I'd say the 18 is probably closer to the truth, and that's why I went with the Bears in the other one. I don't see how Texas or the Texans score, more than 10 here, and then I think they're going to lose by more than 20. But like you said, they take the foot off the gas late on and they win by 15 points and it's an absolute blowout, but it's only 15 points. So yeah, I lean that way too, but it's such a high line that I don't know. Not comfortable taking it. So we're both leaning, but we're not hot. So we'll move along past that one. I said that was a late game. Apologies, it wasn't. This is the late game. It's the Colts at the 49ers. Indianapolis travel down to California. San Francisco looking for their first home win of the season. Strange one, 49ers, Gary. You're a big fan, so you can talk us through it. But 2 reasonable opening wins and now 3 consecutive losses where they've looked kind of lost to me. The Colts picking up a bit of confidence either side of that loss to Baltimore. So what do you think? 4-point favorites at home.
Yeah, I actually have the 49ers in a lot of stuff, and I went with them as being my last man standing this week. But their injury list is just growing and growing and growing, and my kind of confidence is fading. I'll probably still side with the 49ers, but I wouldn't be as strong as I was earlier in the week on it. So I'll kind of be happy to go. If you are interested in taking the 49ers.
I've had the same journey as you. I've just gone further. So with early in the week, it was a pick. It was like a hard pick. I think I put them into some of the competitions that I'm in, the private ones. I thought they were a definite in pick. Then they kind of moved to a lean, and now I'm actually leaning the Colts. I wouldn't say I'd pick the Colts yet, but I'm definitely leaning that way. Like, the 49ers haven't looked good since week 2. Like, they've looked good in moments, but then they look really sloppy in moments. And like you said, with the injuries, I think the Colts are coming out of having injury problems. That their confidence is going to be up, and I think the 49ers' heads are going to be a bit down. And I wouldn't be surprised if they lost it here. I think they probably will win. But 4 points, I don't like the line anymore. Not that so I think if you're a lean and I'm kind of lean the other way, I think we'll have 5 without it. So I'd say we just move off.
It's one I'm going to kick myself.
There's enough reasons to not take it, basically, is the way I would look at this one.
Well, no, I can see the argument for not putting it in, but I think that when the 49ers cover, I'll be kicking myself for deserting it because it is a fairly last minute. I said they're in my picks and they're in my last man standing, so I'll be a bit gutted if it comes in and we end up picking a loser in its place. But it's probably the sensible play to leave it out.
Okay, all right. So that's a soft lean from both of us there.
Yeah, and sorry, just before we go on, Dermot puts in another valid comment in there. And I thought I'd mention something similar along that. I meant to mention kind of dirt time in the Cardinals game, but Dermot's basically saying that Kingsbury would be a terrible coach. He should have all of his big players off the field in the second half, rack up a score, get ahead, and then rest all your starters. So that's another dangerous aspect to take in the, 18.5 points.
Yeah, they could be 18 up at half time and then not at the end of the game. So yeah, I think we're all in the same understanding there, Dermot, that it's just too high a line from a practical point of view. Right, so that moves on to the last game, Monday Night Football. The New Orleans Saints travel to Seattle, 5-point road favourites. Saints pretty unpredictable. They won, they lost, they won, they lost, they won. So no real pattern there, and having lost some senior squad players, members of the team last season, it's probably not a surprise. The Seahawks, not a great record, but if you look at it, they had 2 overtime losses and lost to the Rams, so not really, awful, even though the record on front of it is not that good, and then they'd beaten the Colts and the 49ers. So picking up 5 points at home, Monday Night Football, Gary, where do you go on this one?
Yeah, I have the Saints down as covering just based on the fact that Seahawks defense is shocking, and they're the type of defense that make Winston look good. Winston has these games where he just looks exceptional. Everybody's like, well, he's a superstar, and why did the Bucs let him go, and all that kind of stuff. And he has other games when he comes up against a half decent defense where he'll just look amateurish. So I think this is a game he'll be looking forward to, be on form, rack up a score. You're relying on Geno Smith and co to pull back a score that's racked up. I don't really think they're capable of it. I don't think the weather is cold enough really to come into the predictions. Like as we move kind of into next month, that kind of always usually aids the Seahawks. So you've got a team going there, especially a team from the deep south going up to Seattle. It can be a massive kind of culture shock, but I don't think it's cold enough for even that to be in the Seahawks' favor. So I'll be taking the Saints -5, even though -5 against a franchise like the Seahawks, who are rarely terrible, is a big call.
Yeah, that last point is where I'd agree with you. I think I've taken the Seahawks here. They were second highest pick of the lot. I think it's a primetime game at home. They haven't really. The losses have been kind of poor. Like they lost by 3 points. They lost by 2 other losses were by 3 points in overtime. So they cover a 5-point spread with that. The 2 decent wins. I know the Colts and the 49ers had their problems at the time when they beat them, so you could put asterisks beside those wins. And then the only really kind of bad loss was against the Vikings, in my opinion. And it was a bad game. They lost badly. I don't know if that's enough to say that. I think people have overreacted a bit to the Seahawks' problems, and I think that 5. I wouldn't be surprised if they won the game in a tight game, and I wouldn't expect them to lose by more than 5 if it goes, especially if it goes to overtime or something like that. So
yeah,
I had a Seahawks pick.
I would be looking at this saying, like, I think that the Saints are either going to win it by like 10, 14 points, or they'll lose it. The Saints won't win by 3. That's basically it. They'll either flop and have a terrible performance, and the Seahawks will win by 4 or 5 points, or the Saints will kind of dominate and pull away. I can't see it being a 3-point Saints victory that's a last minute field goal or something like that. I just think they haven't got the bottle for that.
Yeah, so you've kind of addressed the same points as me, but you've taken the opposite conclusion. So I've gone with the Seahawks there. So we leave that one out because we're on the opposite side. So if we go back to the top, we're all agreed, and we've got Dermo in the comments who agrees that the Panthers win. So they cover the 3 points. Sorry. We're all agreed, or certainly me and you agree, Gary, that the Titans cover here. That's a green one. Plus 4.5. We've got the Falcons. You were pretty hot on that, and I had a slight lean, so we'll take the Falcons -2. We have ruled out the Bears and the Bucks, and then we have 3 oranges, which is the Patriots -7, the Raiders -3, and the Ravens -6.5. So we're 2 short, and we've got those 3 on the short list. So where would your pick be of those? The Raiders, the Patriots, or the Ravens?
I think I would go Raiders, Patriots, Ravens in that order.
So you're going to Raiders -3, the Patriots -7, and yeah, I like all 3 of those. So I couldn't really differentiate between them. So if you're happy to take the Raiders and the Patriots, I would put those in. That brings us up to the
let's say I know you were strong on the Patriots, so we put the Patriots in as number 4. As I said, I have kind of a slight doubt there, but I can see where you're coming from, and obviously you have that game earlier on the season to kind of fall back on and things like that. So I think now it's just flip the coin between the Raiders and the Ravens.
The Ravens.
To me, it would be the Raiders. If you're happy with that, we'll put it in. If it's the Ravens and you're strong on that, I don't mind.
No, so I'm looking at my notes. Actually, I had the Raiders as a pick and I had the Ravens as a lean. I said I'm okay if it goes in for the Ravens. So I've got a pick on the Raiders. So if you've got that and I've got that, well then we're joined up. So and I did see PK's notes. He's not with us tonight, but that was his number 1 pick was the Raiders. So I mean, I think the 3 of us are aligned there. It should go. So that would put us the Raiders, the Patriots, both -3 and -7 at home, respectively. We've got the Falcons -2 on the road, the Titans +4.5 at home, and the Panthers -3 on the road. So that is the picks there. A few other leans that we agreed on. The Seahawks seemed to be. Oh no, sorry, we weren't on the same side of the Seahawks, but a few other ones that we were on the same side that we've left out, and then the bragging rights next week will come down to the Bears and the Buccaneers. So that's it. That's our 5. What's your game of the week, Gary? What are you going to be watching and betting on this week?
Hold on. The Dermo's just come in with his deciding vote, and he's gone Ravens, Pats, Raiders if you need a deciding vote. So unfortunately, I think you're a bit too late, Dermo, but there's a rumor you might be on the show next week. So we'll watch out for now. Your opinion might be taken a little bit more on board if you make the cut.
So his difference is, he's put the Ravens and we've taken the Raiders there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd gladly take all 3 of those over the Falcons, but you are so hot on them, Gary, that we've got to put the Falcons in. And
I actually can't believe I'm putting the Falcons in as they were my number 2 pick. Like, I can't believe
we have 5 that we're all agreed on, and we're not taking them because you've got a premonition about the Falcons.
Like, if you go back, I'd say 3-4 weeks ago, I said it on this show. I said I'm never putting the Falcons in, but I just think the circumstances have changed. They go in this week and they make us 5 out of 5 again.
Yeah, like to be honest, if they're playing anybody except the Dolphins, I'd be happy to argue with you on that one. But
if they're playing anybody except for the Dolphins, they wouldn't be going in. So that's the main thing. Yeah. So that's my thoughts anyway. If you have any kind of other bets picked out, I've a bit of research to do for the player prop bet now for the weekend. For a couple on my short list, but I have to.
No, I really don't. I did 3. Which ones I did? The ones that we've picked anyway. The Titans and the Patriots and the Bears. They were my 3 bets that I've actually done already, and I did them as a treble. Nothing else. I usually do more, but I just don't like them this week, and I just feel like I'm throwing money away because I'm kind of coin tossing a few of them. So I'll probably back the 5 that we've picked here. We're on a good roll, the 2 of us in the private competition. I'm not too bad in the circus. So we're going to see. I'm going to stick to the college football this weekend, though. Good start on Wednesday, and much happier about the lines that I'm seeing there than I'm seeing in the NFL. So, like we said, there's a few teams. Some of those lines are just way too high to be entertaining. What about you? Any bets other than the player props that we're going to get?
No, not at the minute. I said I have a bit of research to do tomorrow.
Dermot's chimed in again. He's picked the Dolphins, so he's gone opposite us here. So if you're on the show this next week, Dermot, we will have 2 bragging rights conversations. Gary explaining why he thought the Bucs were going to win by 12, which they clearly won't, and then yourself and Gary talking about the Falcons Dolphins, the low light of the week, no doubt. Right, we will wrap the show up there. I actually see that we've been timed out on Twitter, which is very unfortunate. I think we've ended already there. But if you're still with us on Facebook and YouTube, we really appreciate the views and the comments and everybody chiming in. And make sure to follow and subscribe. It makes a huge difference to us here. So we really appreciate every bit of input. And we will be back next week, same time. Check out SportsRunDown.com over the weekend. You're going to see plenty more NFL action. So Gary's mentioned his player prop bets. We've got Bassett will be sharing his against the spread ACA, and we will be back then on Monday Night Football with another Beano's Bet Builder. So plenty of NFL content, and obviously hours of football content we've already shared tonight. So really appreciate it, and we'll see you at the same time next week.
Cheers, guys.
Good night.